What is up? What is up, everybody? Finally, we made it on. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late, but y'all know how I roll. If I wasn't a few minutes late, y'all probably think something was wrong. So, anyway, we have got a really special show tonight. I know a bunch of y'all have been asking me about it. Looking forward to this for a while. So, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jon Bray in the house. And so I tell you what, for anybody that doesn't know, and I doubt there's anybody, you want to just tell them who you are real quick, and we'll go from there.
Jon Bray, the man that just wanted to be left alone, kept being told lies. I couldn't leave it alone, and kind of proposed the whole exploding microphone theory 7 days after the event happened, and everything else is history.
Yeah, and I have to say, you're the only reason why I even gave this a second look. Um, when I first heard on X, I heard people talking about an exploding microphone. I just blew it off, and then one day I always like watching Trigger Smart, and because Matt's always got he's such a variety of guests and stuff, and topics. So anyway, I didn't know who you were, but I decided to watch one of his shows, and yeah, it was you talking about the microphone. And when I heard you go through it, I was like, oh, okay. When some of these people just throw, and especially with some of the crazy theories that were out there, and they just throw exploding microphone in there, it just kind of, like I said, it kind of sounds crazy. But hey, I'm telling you, out of all the about all the different theories out there, this one here makes the most sense to me. So, yeah. And like I told you before, I ain't worried about structure. I mean, you've got some stuff to share, so you can go ahead and start sharing. And obviously, if I think of some questions along the way, I'll definitely ask. But just show us what you got, and we'll make it work.
Right on.
Should be good.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to start just going through the videos. It's something I hadn't had an opportunity to really do, to just go through the videos slow motion, because those, each angle, you get like a second of key details, and if you're just watching it in full motion, like it's gone before you can really even soak it in. So
yes, it makes a huge difference.
Each angle has something else to show you, like it's so here, which, to me, this is what opened my eyes up the most. This is the video that really struck me off on everything. We'll slow it down. That collar, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, how could his collar stretch out like that? To be honest, I called this video fake for the longest time. I just couldn't make sense of how a collar could do that. And the biggest thing that bothered me.
Can you zoom in on that any? I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
Yeah, this frame right here, I'll show you full size pictures of it.
Okay.
But basically, that frame right there, this is a 30 frame per second recording on an iPhone 15 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And what really I couldn't wrap my head around was that there was a recording of the same exact phone, iPhone 15 Pro, that was to this guy's left, that was recording at 60 frames per second. And it didn't capture this, but what I call the humpback. And I just couldn't wrap my head around how something could be, how a 60 frame per second camera couldn't capture something when a 30 frame per second camera could.
Right.
And the long and short of it is that this event happened so fast that it was in between the shutter speeds of the camera. So when a camera's recording, it's like taking a bunch of pictures, right?
It's the same as doing a whole bunch of still shots, correct?
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, and it just puts them together.
And so nobody's cameras are taking the pictures at the same time. They all have millisecond differences. And so we're seeing a millisecond difference between one camera to another camera. And it was fast enough that the 60 frame per second camera only caught a blur of it, where this 30 frame per second camera, because its shutter was open longer, it was able to capture the whole hump.
And landed right on it.
Yep. It landed right on it. And then the audio of these two cameras were just never made sense to me. Like, you hear the crack as soon as you hear it. It's like and then boom, the muzzle blast, right?
Yep.
So it's the intensity and the duration of, you can kind of see the wave here, how long it lasts for. You know,
Yep.
it lasts too long for it just to be that bullet whizzing past. And let's be
Right.
honest, that bullet didn't whiz past these people. The bullet was supposedly struck Charlie, so they should be
Right.
getting minimum in wave off the cone of that bullet. That's what that
Right.
first peak is. Supposedly is the in wave from the bullet. And you can see the stereo dominance on these two. That's what the green and red is. It's showing you the left channel or the right channel. The
Okay.
stereo dominance of these two, it didn't make any sense. We were getting, this is showing the channel that is on the you know, the side that is closer to Charlie versus the side where the bullet came from.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the difference between the two, like the arrival times are different. So I was like,
Right.
well, the only way that happens is that you have two different audio events.
Right. Yeah.
And
Two
so
different sources of the
you
sound.
got two
right?
different sources, right? There's no way you get one source where, you know, the both of them are coming the same direction.
And so no matter what actually happened by that audio, I mean, at least, you know,
There's two sources of that crack that we heard, that
Right.
that first audio peak that we heard didn't come from one source. There's two
Right.
sources of it. Now
Yep.
we can only speculate what the two sources are, but
Right.
we can look at the peaks and get a pretty good idea. And then you go and look at the different camera angles and you just look at the energy. You know, the first thing that
Yes.
happens, you know, boom, this collar. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, why is the collar raising up on the side of his head at the same time where this, you see the microphone clasp kind of gives you like a metric of the direction of the energy, right? The
Right.
trajectory. And then the shirt, that freedom text shows you how much deformation there is. And
Right.
the first thing we see, there's nothing in between him resting
Mm-hmm.
and that collar, boom, being blown
Yep.
up around his face. And
Mhm.
at the same time, we have the necklace being blown off his head, and the
Right.
necklace snaps right underneath where this, you see this microphone, the necklace is draped right here. The
Okay.
necklace snaps right here
Right
and
about there.
gets blowed up and over his head. So it's
Right.
like you have these equal and opposite forces where, you know, something was strong enough in this general area to break a necklace, a square link necklace. It wasn't like a dainty necklace. This was pretty.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume it's probably stainless or something. I mean,
That's what I assume. Just the
Yeah.
nature of what it looked like, and knowing Charlie, it's
Yeah.
I don't think it was sterling silver. I think it was probably stainless.
Yep.
And so the amount of force that takes alone, you know,
Yeah.
you can't just explain that away by cavitation. When
Right.
he was supposedly struck over here in his neck, it's like there's no way you get cavitation from soft tissue in zone 2 of the neck on the opposite side that's strong
Right.
enough to snap a necklace under the collarbone of another.
Exactly. Yes. So yes,
And
there
so
had to be either there had to be either two completely separate, you know, events going on there, or, you know, the event was generated or, you know, came from somewhere over there where the necklace broke.
exactly. And that microphone the clasp is the key. It tells you all the things you need to know.
Mhm.
Because knowing that the clasp is next to the necklace, and then once we discovered that, you know, this has a, it's hard to see on this white background. This isn't the best video for it, but this has a this is a square shape, this bulge in his collar.
I remember seeing one that looked like there was a little piece of board or something. You could even almost see the green color.
You can,
Barely.
it's a blue, actually. It's a blue
blue,
solder mask. Yeah, it's a little bit. I thought it was green at first too. There it is. It's hard to
Yes,
see in
there
this
it is.
lower resolution, but you can see that necklace flying over his head right here.
Right.
And so, you know, we have, these are frames of a camera. So we're talking like, you know, 30 milliseconds. And so here the collar is raised up over his neck when supposedly he's already been struck by a bullet. Supposedly, if we're looking at the official story. So how does a bullet strike someone when the collar is raised over the windsight?
So yes, that's what I was going to say. To break this down all the way, basically, if the official narrative is correct, the very first thing that you are going to see is a puncture and then cavitation, and then I'm assuming, you know, somewhere in that time frame, you know, then maybe whatever happens to the shirt happens. But the very first thing you're going to see is that impact, correct?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly. You
and
can't.
that's like the last thing we see here.
Yes, the official narrative is telling us that these are secondary events.
Right.
That the necklace snapping and the shirt raising up over his supposed wound site from the
Mm-hmm.
rifle impact is a secondary event to the rifle impacting. So how does a white shirt raise up and cover a 30-06 wound to the neck, but not have any high velocity blood splatter? You don't, you don't see his really body react to it at all. And it takes a full half a second before no blood. You don't even see the wound yet.
Nope.
Oh, there it is. And
There
look at
it
the
is.
wound. It's
Yep.
a rectangle wound. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And you see the bulging of the flesh. Like, it's not a cavitation that's all the way around. It's a delayed cavitation that has the same trajectory that we saw the shirt bulge at. So,
Right.
if you look at these two details, so we have, boom, the shirt bulge. Look at the direction of everything. You see the shirt, the tension of the shirt is pulled. See the peak is the E and the D. So that's showing you
Yes.
where the shirt deformation peaks at that
Yep.
direction. And you look at the creases, they're pulled in this direction. And then you look at, once the shirt relaxes and we look at the wound, you can see that the wound has the deformation that is in that direction also.
Right. Yes.
You see the bulge. That's the only
Yes.
bulge there is, and it's slight bulge. This is not a high velocity impact of a rifle round. This is a medium
Right.
velocity impact of a blunt object.
Yeah,
It's,
and you can really tell the difference of that. I mean, like a high velocity, when you look at that on a slow motion, like really slowed down frame by frame, I mean, it would be so much more intense. I mean, correct?
they say 30 times the size of the bullet is the
Right.
cavitation would be expected. So
Right.
30 times the size of a 30 caliber bullet is the cavitation that we would expect, especially from the zone 2 of the neck. This is just
Yeah.
mostly vascular tissues. Like, there's not much structure there to hold it together. Some of the thinnest skin on the body, it's just as thin as your eyelids.
Well,
So
I mean, yeah, and like it's basically, for all intents and purposes too, the neck is hollow. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yep.
solid all the way through. You've got, so the whole idea that it could have stopped it just because, oh, well, there's some bone in there for it to hit is just ridiculous to me. But
yeah, the bones on the backside. I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at the front side of it. We should see devastation on the front side of it. Even if Charlie had
Exactly.
a steel spine, it wouldn't matter for the front
Right.
side of his neck. His neck is just as thin and empty as everyone else's
And
neck.
if it had have been steel, like they say, I mean, just imagine when that bullet dumped all that energy into there and literally stopped on that steel backbone. Imagine the devastation that would be. I mean,
He
like
would've-
that
he would've
energy
went-
can't go through.
Yeah, his heels would have been in the air.
Yeah.
We would have seen him go heels over head.
Yeah.
And fall out of the chair backwards. If that bullet dumped all this energy into his spine,
Right, exactly.
like they expect.
I don't think people realize what 3,000 foot-pounds of force is, but I mean, just imagine what would happen if 3,000 pounds got just dropped on a human body. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
you're talking about something flying 3,000 feet per second almost.
Yeah,
with,
in
with
less than
3,000.
a quarter inch of
Yeah.
square quarter inch of space absorbing
Exactly.
all that energy. It's just
Yes.
it's unfathomable.
Yes.
So here we have it again, a little slower. Boom! You see immediately the necklace, the amount of energy that got put into that necklace. That the camera frames don't capture it from a rest to going over his head. They capture it from a rest to halfway over his head.
Right.
So that's a 60 frame per second camera can capture it in movement.
It was moving extremely fast. I mean,
And then the other camera's angles that are further away, it's even more dramatic. All they capture is just a stretch collar. It happens so
Right.
fast that there's no in between. It's just stretch collar. And then and this is the original version that got uploaded, which
where you
is
see the back.
is compressed. Yeah, this is the one that's actually 60 frames per second. So
Okay.
this one is a little more subtle. What you see on the back of the neck is a blur.
Right.
And then this captures the necklace. So you see the blur,
Yeah.
boom, and then the necklace curving over his head.
Over,
It goes
around his ear or up over his ear.
from a rest on his chest to halfway over his head in a single 60 frame per second video, which is 17 milliseconds, something
Yeah,
like
17 milliseconds.
Just
That's crazy.
smoking, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the amount of energy that got dumped into that necklace. You can't explain it by a secondary action.
No, that's what I was going to say. No matter what he had gotten shot with, if it was cavitation that that moved that necklace, there's no way that it would move that fast.
Yeah, and it wouldn't snap it clean and still
Exactly.
have enough energy to toss it up and over his shoulder. And the trajectory of the necklace tells you everything. That the energy was very centered around his collarbone because it swings up and over and around his head. So it's
Yes.
like a pendulum, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fulcrum was the opposite side of his neck, where there wasn't much energy dumped into that side of the necklace because it snapped immediately. The
Right.
part of the necklace that was still close to the energy was propelled up and over his head.
Up and
And
over. Yeah.
that's why we see it just smoke past. And we have a better quality of that. This angle is really telling because you can see the trajectory of that collar lift, where when you look at it from the front, it just looks like the collar lifted up in front of his face. But if you really look
Right.
at this angle, you can see how far away from his body it lifts. You see that?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is a
That's
definite
3 inches, isn't it? I mean,
right. And
3, 4 inches.
if you look at the size of it, that's an object that raised that collar
Yes.
because that shirt's deforming around it. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
It appears to be. Yes.
It's not a balloon that's moving it from gas. This isn't a result of gas puffing the
Right.
shirt. A
Right.
puff is a round shape. The shirt distributes that energy, evenly across it. This is an
Right.
object, and an object
Yes.
that's square and pretty thin because you can see the profile of it here.
Yeah, definitely. Like if it was just the gas, I mean, obviously you probably would see a little more definition, like exactly where the gas was going. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it would be a
and
little
gas,
more.
every inch that gas leaves its nozzle, right? Suppose it's a nozzle that ejects the gas. It
Mhm.
expands out like a fan. And
Right.
so it
The
slows
further
down.
away, the
The
the less
further away,
dramatic it's gonna.
yeah, and the more fanned out it is. And we're
Yeah.
dealing with jersey knit cotton. It's made to breathe. So the amount of gas that you would have to dump into this shirt to get it to react like that
Yeah.
is just it's ridiculous. You would have to have like a half-inch inside diameter tube, and then the tube would need to have a 1/8 inch wall on it. So you're looking at a huge tube. It's not
Yeah.
like you would be able to. And we have movements on the back of the shirt, on the left side of the shirt, and the right of the shirt. So it's like you would have to have multiple sources of
Right.
gas to cause this sort of movement with
I
just gas
agree. It
alone.
has to be. It's being lifted. It's being lifted by
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
Um, there's no doubt in my mind when I look at that. Um,
And
that's
this
just
is look
crazy.
at this angle. Like each camera, this event happens so fast that each camera catches little details that the other one's different. Like look at this deformation on this collar. It's pixelated, but it just shows you how fast the event happened. Like this is showing you that collar blew open before it blew up. You
Yeah,
know,
there's no way that it could physically, if it was a secondary reaction, there's no way that it could be lifted above the point of impact and then back down before the impact.
right. It just physically it doesn't the motion that we're seeing and the official explanation, there's a great divide in between it. But
Yeah.
this is the 60 frame per second. So you see that blur, that
Mm-hmm.
ghost blur there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look really close, if you look at the front of his collar, you can see gas come out at the same time in the front. You see that?
Yep. I was going to ask you if this is the one where it looks like gas is coming out,
Yep.
escaping
And
there.
so this is a 60 frame per second camera. It has the best chance of catching something fast like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the same moment that we see this shirt stretching out, we see a puff of distortion out of the front of the collar of the shirt.
Right.
And then after that, you see a massive movement from this very area. So we see the puff, we see the stretch. The next thing we're going to see is this microphone open up. And so the first movement you see here, this
Yep.
microphone, that case is opened up. And now look at that. There's no microphone connected to that. That is just a
No, that's
microphone
just
and
the
a
back
clip.
plate and the magnet, ain't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing this microphone right now. It is 18 millimeters thick.
So let me ask you, and I may be jumping ahead, but just while we're on it, and I'm thinking about it. So one of the big things that I hear a lot is about the shirt. It would have had burn marks. It would have been shredded. Blah 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 blah. So way I understand it with a shape charge. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the just way I think of it, with that back plate and that magnet being stuck on there, obviously a shape charge is designed for for it to go a particular direction, which is away from that back plate and magnet. It seems to me that when that happened, that back plate and that magnet would act like a shield or what have you to, because say the whole microphone exploded, but those two pieces stayed together, stuck to the shirt. Would that not block the shirt from any kind of flash or burn or anything like that?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. And then
nothing is happening from that back plate out, right?
yeah,
Everything going on is from there forward.
it happens so fast. The detonation speed is so fast that it doesn't have time to transfer the heat or the energy. Like
Exactly.
people are
Right.
thinking of like a grenade or a traditional radial explosive.
A
Like
radial, yes.
we're talking about a micro charge. So this is like comparing, a water jet to
Yes.
a fire hose.
And again, like I say, that back plate of that thing, the one that the magnet is actually stuck to, would shield the shirt from anything that was going on.
Absolutely. It doesn't
Okay.
have, there's not enough, there's the duration of heat isn't long enough to transfer the heat to the shirt
Right.
to
Exactly.
cause
Because all that
singes or
energy
burns.
is going opposite way anyway.
Yep.
Now,
And
obviously, we feel like there was a malfunction, but
it's gone in 5 milliseconds. So,
yeah,
we,
no time to heat transfer at all.
yep. And the majority of all the heat comes out of the jet side. And the way
Yes.
they placed that microphone on him, that jet was into his chest. And
Right.
if you draw a line from where that microphone was mounted right here, you see the hump?
Mm-hmm.
It's laid on its side. That jet is,
Yes.
and look at the hump.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yeah,
that
you
jet,
can definitely see that it turned. I mean, like there's no doubt about that. The way it was on there, I don't know exactly how, but at one point it's like literally almost turned sideways.
and they have to put it on its side because it's the microphone's not thick enough for them to fit the have the cone to where it can form a proper jet. It has to have a standoff space.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
the depth of the microphone isn't enough, but the side dimension of the microphone is plenty. And
I gotcha.
they know which side of the microphone is going to be placed on his chest
So
because you have to
you
put the
think it
mic
I
towards his
gotcha.
mouth, right? So
So
it's
you
like the
think
orientation
intentionally
is set.
it was set on its side intentionally, so the charge would have come out of the side.
Yep.
But then, okay,
And
I gotcha.
that's why the case is gone. And
Right.
that's why the battery and the circuit board were ejected from the case, because the only thing that was holding the battery and the circuit board in the case were the walls of the case. And
I seen that. I seen that drawing that you got floating around, and I think I saw it on your X. I'm sure I did, but I didn't really pay that much attention. But now that you say that, I remember now seeing that shape, that cone, yeah, being made in there to where it would come out the side.
it's basically firing out of the USB charging port is
Right.
the area where it's going to charge. So, when that shape charge goes off, the edge of that case is gone. It's exploded everywhere. The face of the case is going to pop open and explode too, just
Yeah.
from the sheer pressure of it. And the circuit board and the battery are going to just be secondary shrapnel. They're going to be tossed in whichever is the path of least resistance. And
Okay.
if you think about it, what are we seeing here? We're seeing the shirt balloon this way, the necklace go this way, and the circuit board and the battery go that way. It's
Right.
in all directions, and we even see the sleeve of his shirt stretch up from the gas escaping. It's because it's path of least resistance. It's looking from wherever it can to escape out from underneath that shirt.
Yes.
And
And so with that, all right. So the difference between it, them having it come directly, straight out the back or coming out the side, or the charging port, would that make any difference in how it was required? I know you were talking about how you would have to have an initial, I don't remember what you called it, but an initial,
it sets
a
the
primer
charge off.
charge.
Yeah,
Yes. To
exactly. That's
give it
basically
some
what
space.
detonates it. And
Okay.
that's what had me hung up on the N wave, the mock cone,
Hmm.
kind of being the detonating trigger, and then them trying to hide the detonation behind the muzzle blast sound.
Right.
But in reality, the muzzle blast sound isn't the same frequency as you get from this high energy explosive. It's much easier to obscure the sound of the high energy explosive under a the N wave, the supersonic crack of that
The
mock cone.
supersonic crack. Yes.
And I know that because I went and took the videos from the pager attacks where, you know, we had multiple decent quality audio recordings of those. And if you look at the frequency of them or just listen to it with your ears, it sounds a lot like a rifle. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, basically they've learned from that,
And not necessarily a 30-06 or 300 mag. You know, it might sound like a little bit smaller, but yes, it does sound a lot like a rifle.
yeah. And it's not the muzzle blast that it sounds like. It sounds like that, you
The
know, supersonic crack that comes out.
Yes.
It's that,
Yes, exactly.
and so here, this is the that 30 frame per second video. So we can see from a resting collar to that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you see, look at the deformation on his skin, how you can see the shockwave, the
It was a
energy
shock
traveling.
wave, exactly.
Look at his cheek. Look at that. Charlie's cheek isn't like that.
No,
You know,
no.
he doesn't have a Dunlap chin, and then that one's even more shocking. You know, that was from gas escaping so fast. It basically,
Yeah,
you know,
it had to be. There's not, I mean, look, that bulge in the back where it blows out like that. I mean, you can't explain that by, you know, a cavitation from a neck wound, a bullet impact. I mean,
no,
I don't see how that happens.
it's not soft flesh on your back. His spine didn't pop out and cause that. Because look, we
Right.
can see his neck. There's a fist-sized space in between his neck and where the shirt is bulged out.
Yes.
But what will cause that is gas penetrating all the way through his chest and blowing through that shirt.
So basically, so yes, at the end of the day, if it was, we'll go with the official narrative. If it was a you know, a bullet impact to the neck, then basically cavitation would be what moved the shirt. But that looks like there's something physically under there pushing that shirt out, which there technically is. It's a bunch of gas trying to escape.
Yep. Exactly.
But that's not just a, you know, that's not just a reaction of that energy being dumped inside of his body, you know, well, cavitation.
Yeah. And if you look at the front of the collar on this picture, you can see the distortion. So this is like, you know, when you see a mirage on the road where a high amount of heat it changes the way light travels. And you can see that shockwave distortion in the front of his collar here, where, you know, that same moment, just like that 60 frame per second caught a little bit of gas escaping from the front of the collar. This is capturing the later end of that, where we're seeing the actual remnants of that high order explosive. What you get is a light gray, you know, it's not a black soot. It's not a bright white, you know, flash. It's not a bright yellow flash. It burns super clean and super fast. And the only thing it leaves behind is a light gray kind of, you know, poof of smoke. And
even
that's
the
exactly what we
pagers,
see here.
even the pagers, I mean, they were bigger, and for what their purpose was, I mean, they were just trying to be, they were just using them as explosives. They weren't trying to mask or hide anything. So, you know, even at that, there wasn't just a huge amount of smoke. And what was there was, like you're talking about, you know, a light gray, white looking smoke on the videos that I saw. So if you take whatever amount of, you know, explosive it would require to do that, and then cut that thing down by many times, you know, you're looking at a very minute amount of anything that would be visible.
Yep. And we can see just a blur of the necklace here where it's crossing his neck. So, you know, the necklace is already snapped and it's already on its way with the hump. So this ties those two events together. Whatever energy caused the massive gas hump on his back is also the energy that snapped the necklace, because we can see them in the same frame right here.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, so, and I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't really been considering the whole,
and then,
you know, out the side of the microphone theory. That would make more sense for the necklace. I could see either way that it could break the necklace, but that would be a lot more, that makes a lot more sense.
And we can see here magnetic clasp connected to the clip, there is no microphone body on there.
No, that's literally just that back plate of metal and the magnet.
That body of that microphone is smoked. At that same time, we can see that collar stretched up on this side. So that means that that's the same energy that smoked this body of this microphone sent the innards of that microphone, the circuit board and the battery across his chest.
And I just thought of it, and if you want to, we can touch on that later. But just while I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to name any names, but there have been a few people recently that have really been hitting hard on the whole, especially since Candace has put out those other pictures of the shrapnel. And so there's a couple people in particular that have really hit hard on the fact that how much of this is in the back seat. And so, but Charlie was in the middle, so no bigger than what this microphone is. How could that much get transferred to the back? Of course, I've got some ideas and thoughts on that, but I didn't know if you'd even considered that.
Well, I have the actual microphone that Charlie wore that day, and the face of that is like a tempered glass. And when it shatters, it's into a 1,000 little jagged pieces.
That's the first thing I would say is that it's kind of hard. Yeah, they put some stuff down there for reference, for size, but those pieces, if you're talking tiny little pieces, it could make quite a few of those for starters.
But and it's going to get caught in the shirt. If anybody's been in a car wreck, know. So now, here's the latest angle that has been released.
Oh yes,
and this video is missing so many frames, but we can see the blur of the collar stretch, right?
Yep.
We see the necklace in its beginning of its movement. I've heat mapped this, and you can see a tremendous amount of energy expelled right here along that collar over his right shoulder.
Right.
And then, if we watch as this unfolds, you can see a few different things I think a lot of people have missed. Mainly that this stain appears on the back of his shirt. So it's hard to see. It's really hard to see right here, but this is just a faint stain. And the way we can explain that is that, this was a extremely hot jet that basically penetrated his chest through and through. That's what caused that big humpback that we saw. And because it's so hot, it's especially sealing up the wound as it escapes. So the only thing that's going to come out,
it's cauterizing it.
Exactly. The only thing that's coming out the other end is the little bit of flesh that it tore loose on the way there. And basically,
so you believe there was definitely a full
penetration.
Wound. Yeah. Okay.
Full penetration from the collarbone to his back. Exactly where we see the peak of that hump is right where we see this stain at.
Okay, just being clear, we're not thinking that the gas went across his chest and filled the shirt up and came out the back. We're thinking that it went straight through.
Yep. And then people try to say that it's his hand, right? But obviously it's not. But look, this is another angle of the microphone. Like there's no body of the mic. There's no body underneath there. That is just a clip. Like the microphone itself is 40. You can see here. Look at the hump. You can see the full shape of it. Like it's a honker compared to the size of the magnet. Like it humps. This is a great example. This one on the top right here, you can see the full size of it. Like look where the magnetic clasp and how much body a microphone is on the side of it. Right?
Yes.
It's a large volume. It's not something that's just easily concealed or that's missed, from any angle.
No, I mean it's just shy of 3/4 of an inch, right? Didn't you say it was 18 millimeters? I mean,
18 millimeters thick, and then the body of it's 44 millimeters. Wide.
So inch and 3/4, give or take, inch and
And so the here we go, right? Here we go. 46.44 millimeters, 45. 18 and a half with the clip. So it's not something that just disappears all of a sudden. No. You look at every picture of him during the day, every video of him with the mics there.
You can see it there.
It's obvious. It's like it's odd. It's so obvious. And as soon as the necklace breaks, none of that's obvious anymore. All of a sudden, boom, look at it. It folds over on itself. It's paper thin. And this picture here and it even obscures its own. Like, this is impossible. If the body of that microphone
The
is
body
still
was there.
connected, it can't do that. It's not even possible for it to do it. I have the microphone. I have it on my shirt. I've tried
Right.
to get it to do this. It can't do it.
You
It's
can't do
too
it.
it's too big. It immediately unfolds itself because
Right.
it's 18 millimeters thick and it's 44,
Yeah.
plus millimeters wide. It wants to lay flat.
Yeah.
You just can't get this action with the body there. So
No, it's not going to just go into disappear into a fold. It's got enough weight and, like you said, size that it's gonna.
yep. And this threw me off at first because I look at this wound and I look at that magnetic clasp that we saw beforehand, and they're the same size. And if you watch the videos in slow motion, it has that same trajectory. So my initial impression was that the clasp caused the neck wound. And it wasn't until I actually bought the microphone and I tore it open and realized the battery is the exact same size as the magnetic clasp that all the pieces came together for me.
I remember hearing you say that way back, and I was going back over and just watching some of the videos and looking, and I thought, I don't know, because it looks like that magnetic clasp is still there. But
dude, it looks like the magnet clasp moves over,
it
it
does look like it.
disappears, and then the neck wound appears. Like, if you just look at those few camera angles that show you that, it looks like that's the case. So this is the back view where we're looking for that stain beforehand, right?
Okay,
let's make sure that the stain, there's no stain there, right? It's not to be seen. And then we can go and look after the fact. So we see that we look at that bulge, where that bulge kind of peaks out and where that stain is, and you see they're correlational, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We see where the bulge. Now let's look at where this stain is. Boom.
Okay.
So we have a direct causation of, we had a huge unexplained bulge, and now we have a mysterious stain that appears a few seconds after the event.
And obviously, I'm no kind of, I have no idea. I'm not, definitely not an authoritative source, but and you may have looked into it in detail, maybe not, I don't know. But so you feel like there's enough heat and that it could literally cauterize itself fast enough as it goes through to not have any kind of spray or blood being pushed out.
Yep, that's exactly what the medical
really
literature suggests, and I think what we're seeing here is actual particles of flesh that were blown out onto the shirt.
It makes sense. It makes sense as it's going through. If it is sealing off that opening as it goes through, it's when it comes out the back. I mean, it's not like it's going to push
a ton of blood, right? Yeah. Exactly. It's basically just sealing it as it goes, and then because it's Mach 7 speed, which explains how that hump was so fast and gone, right? It's not like an extended push of gas from a dynamic device. This was an extremely fast, within milliseconds of the shutter speeds of two cameras event.
Right.
The only type of expansive gas that you can really explain that sort of force that can penetrate a full grown man's chest is a high order explosive and a shaped charge.
Right. I don't know. Have you seen, I know you probably haven't seen those videos that I did, but there's you probably have, surely, as much digging as you've done into it, but I think I put it in both of my videos on this whole theory. There's it's like an advertisement video about a little micro drone with a, I think it's 2 grams. I think it's 2 gram. Shape charge.
Where the guy throws it out in the crowd and it pops on the head. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that is so close to what we're talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so to get back to this, these signatures that we're getting here. So that peak, what we're hearing is basically that Mach wave passing by, and then there's a little delay, and then we get the detonation of the device. And so
it doesn't sound, it sounds like there's 2 different sources there. I mean, it just sounds weird.
And you can see the stereo difference. The red is one channel, the green is another channel. If it was a Mach wave, like, we wouldn't have such, you see how the green and the red peak at the same time here?
Yes.
That's telling you that audio.
That's a separate source, right?
It's a separate source, and it came directly from in front of the camera, because this source
Right.
hit both speakers at the same time. Where
Both,
this is
yeah.
the N wave, right? This is what you would expect from a bullet coming from, you know, far to this guy's right.
Mhm.
It would hit one microphone,
Yeah, one speaker or one, yeah.
more predominantly than the other speaker,
Yes.
because of the
Yes.
way the speakers pick up sound, right? They're
And
directional.
that's just based on the trajectory. They're saying that
Yep.
the bullet would have had to travel to have shot him.
And so if you look at this delay in between these two, this is the exact amount of time they would take the ARM processor and that Rode microphone
Mhm.
and the primer charge to detonate. So, you
Right.
know, that it was a tight window that they had to work with. And when you listen to it in full speed, it's hard to tell the two apart. But when you slow it down and really look at the
Yeah.
audio, you can
Knowing
really,
it's there, though, when you play it, even at full speed, it does have a different sound to it than what
Yep.
I would expect. Not enough for me to, I never would have called it without seeing that, though.
Yeah. And, you know, this wouldn't be enough for me to make the conclusion of one video wouldn't be
No.
enough. But what
No.
happens is you go around the crowd and you look at the audio for around the crowd, it correlates with this. So say this guy on the other side of the crowd here, it flips channels. So he gets the N wave coming from his other channel, and then the peaks are, you know, centered in both his channels again. So it's like when you really tie in all the different angles, you can triangulate, you know, a really tight grouping of where this sound came from.
Right.
And I was able to take I've done 10 different cameras thus far, and I've been able to pinpoint 4 signatures. So we'll stop this here. So the green is the supersonic bullet crack. So that's
Okay.
the first audio event we hear is that bullet whizzing by the camera.
Mhm.
The magenta is that detonation that's slightly behind that mop cone, because that's what triggered that microphone picking up that mop cone, and that ARM processor that, you know, that they programmed to
Mhm.
send that detonation signal to the shape charge.
That's what I was going to ask you, is if we're still thinking that that it was an audio event that triggered the.
Yep.
Okay.
It absolutely was. I was mistaken thinking that they used the supersonic crack to hide it in the muzzle blast, but
Yeah.
they didn't, because it wouldn't have been a good candidate to try to obscure the sound of it, because the muzzle
would it be too
completely different frequencies.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know,
So
would have
anybody
sounded,
analyzing it would easily see that.
yep, they would see a second. If you didn't know better, you would look at it and say that it was a second shot, that it was a second supersonic crack. And if they didn't know better, they would think that, you know, it was a, you know, somebody that had a suppressor. But
By
they
ear, it probably would have worked just fine. But knowing all these sleuths out there on the internet now trying to get to the bottom of things.
And this third zone is a really key zone, and this is one that really you know, brought it home for me, is the chest cavity resonance. And so it's this
That is interesting. That's very interesting right there.
Yeah, so there's 2 different sounds that a human chest will make when it's impacted, and they're 2 different frequencies. So if something just impacts the surface of a chest, it's like hitting a drum on the
It's
outside
like a
of the
drum.
drum.
That's exactly what I was
From the
gonna
outside
say.
of the drum, from the
Yep.
inside of the drum, they make 2 different sounds.
Right.
And so this frequency that we're picking up from this third zone here is of a lung being penetrated and the thorax responding from it. And if you've ever watched like slow motion cameras of shape charges, when they penetrate a wall of something, especially if they're penetrating a safe or something, you can see the shockwave bounce around inside that cavity.
Yeah, for sure.
Once it penetrates. And that's basically what this resonance is that shockwave bouncing around inside his lung cavity, and
which is going to force everything out somewhere. Which would be,
and it creates it's a human drum, a flesh drum, basically.
I can see that.
And if you take the size of Charlie and you run it on, you know, it's a medically documented frequency, this is the frequency that we pick up. And then finally the muzzle blast arrives, and we can see this through all the angles.
Finally, after all that, the muzzle blast.
Yep. So N wave, there's the frequency. That magenta is the frequency, is body being penetrated, then the muzzle blast. N wave, frequency of his body being penetrated, muzzle blast. N wave. And this video is closest to him. So this picks up the detonation the best. So this is the one I've been able to isolate the detonation. And you can clearly see that green peak is the N wave from the bullet. This red and green peak here is the detonation sound.
The detonation. And
then we get the frequency of his thorax, like a human drum thereafter, and then the muzzle blast.
And you know, it's amazing. I mean, you know, this is a fine example of why you can't necessarily jump to any conclusions. You can speculate, hypothesis, whatever, hypothesize, but you know, I know that your outlook, your theory, everything has been adjusted as you go, and this audio part, which obviously you couldn't really go into in any depth until you were kind of got to that point, but it has really changed things for you. I mean,
yeah, the stereo dependence of it, just looking at peaks is so ambiguous that you can name these peaks whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no
here's
way
a
to
peak.
fake
I
that
think
stuff.
It's this, but that stereo dependence is giving you like a triangulation of the area where that sound came from. And just one video is not that powerful, but when you add all the cameras up, we basically have a 180-degree span around Charlie from that day, and you add all that data together, and it's just unrefutable. I mean, it gives you a clear picture of not only where the origination of the sounds come from, but where they end up traveling as the event goes.
Yeah. And again, I mean, like I said, there's no way to fake that. I mean, yeah, obviously you can put out decoy sounds, but at the end of the day, when you analyze it, it's going to be a particular sound coming from a particular place. I mean,
yep.
And a certain frequency, a particular frequency.
And you see how this person's pretty close to Charlie, and look at that peak of that resonance of the cavitation and the thorax frequency. You know, the camera's closer to it, pick it up louder. The camera's further away from it, they don't pick it up as loud. And then you look at the channel dependency, it's you know, it shows you that sound came from underneath the tent, and so it by itself is hard to make sense out of. This one has a ton of noise in it. Someone was talking beforehand, so that's why you see all these crazy peaks before. But it picks up the muzzle blast pretty good, and this one has all sorts of noise. You see how it flips back and forth in between. Now this is the other you know, these two cameras are like key to me because they're on the same side. They're about, you know, 5 to 7 meters away from each other, but they're the exact same model phone. So it's just like the same model phone held in the same position. The only difference is one's recording in 30 frames per second, the other's recording in 60 frames per second.
60 frames.
But it gives you another idea. I mean, look at the peak on this. So this is the N wave, right? Boom, it's coming in from that side, and then wow, look at that explosion. That detonation peak is so big. It gets the biggest peak off of it. And if you see, he's in better eyesight of that microphone than the other camera was a little bit like behind Charlie's shoulder. He couldn't see the microphone as well. So it makes sense why this guy would get more of the audio.
More of the audio.
That shape charge, just like it's very directional and it's energy that sends out. The
sound will be exactly too.
Exactly. And so the waste energy that comes off of it is coming off the face of his chest. And so he was the closest to like receiving that sound wave off the face of his chest. It's almost a direct line over to him. And then again, you can see how, look at these red and green. You can tell that was directly in front of him. That thorax resonance was squarely in front of him. It didn't come from the left or right. It's even on both channels.
Yeah, those correlate perfectly. I mean,
and then the muzzle blast, boom, very clearly came from one side. Right? We know the muzzle blast arrived from 127
Yeah.
meters to, elevated position. I can't.
Obviously, that wasn't generated underneath the tent.
Yeah. And then look, you can even see the echo of the muzzle blast, because there's a big like concrete wall that's to
Oh
the
yeah,
and
all
so
kinds
you
of stuff for echo and
boom,
making
you
it
can see
echo.
the echo that arrives after it bounces off. And the echo for the other guy is a lot tighter because he's right next to the wall. So it's
Right.
like when you put all the
Yeah, and that would make a big difference if that sound hits that wall and you're standing right beside the wall. It's going to be
yep,
a very quick, very yeah, I got you. As opposed to the one standing further away,
yep.
it would
And
be a much wider.
you see the 2 to 12 milliseconds delay between the cameras of where they capture this road detonation, and then the cavity resonance is almost immediately after that, because that detonation was immediately penetrating his chest. So again, like super hard to take all those camera angles and look at all the correlational data that they show you and just kind of like write it off.
No, I mean, to me, you can't.
Yeah,
Because again, like I said, you can't fake anything when it comes to that sound data. I mean, like I said, you can throw out decoy sounds and what have you, but at the end of the day, if you have a particular, receiver for the audio event, I mean, like you've got a particular frequency that is going to act in a particular way depending on where it comes from. I mean, like there's no way to fake that.
yeah, it's really difficult to just
You can throw out some stuff to, yeah, you can throw out some other things just to muddy the waters, but at the end of the day, the
and
data's
so it was a well thought out plan, because it did make it quite difficult to separate that detonation from the mock cone, because they share frequency, they overlap on each other, and most importantly is that the phones distort, they clip when they
mm-hmm.
that peak energy from that crack of that mock cone causes a few milliseconds where the microphone just doesn't pick up data that well.
It's
It's
probably
just
got
kind of,
a narrow range too, doesn't it? A
yeah.
frequency range.
And so it's real hard to, it's kind of like the shortcoming of looking at this audio data where looking at one angle or two angles, it's really ambiguous. You can make of it whatever you want,
Whatever you want. Yeah.
because there's so much noise in it that you can't really make sense of it. You have to really take all the angles into account and
Into
look
account
at
as a
look at
whole.
the data. And looking at that, there was a peak that I couldn't really identify. It didn't really make any sense to me. And I didn't like this whole the whole van theory, like the shot into the van.
Yeah, I noticed, at least judging by what I was seeing on X, that you might have had to.
I didn't, and the more I looked at that frequency, it was basically I searched for any unidentified frequency that I didn't have an explanation for,
All right.
and that one kept popping up, and I ended up finding a YouTube of someone shooting a 30 caliber air rifle into ballistic gel.
Yeah.
And so I ran analysis on that, and it was the YouTube video is called like "My Ballistic Gel Farted" or something like that. And so I knew I've heard it before. Ballistic gel kind of like letting out like a fart type of
Yeah. I
sound.
mean, I could see it. I mean, it has to go somewhere, I guess. So.
Yeah, right. So in my mind, I was like, well, I knew it was possible, and then I basically started to run the math on it, and it's pretty solid math. It's basically you take the penetration depth, the amount of cavitation, the volume of the cavitation tells you how much air is involved,
Mm-hmm.
and then the diameter of the bullet. And it's like a musical instrument, right? You
Right.
can basically use the math to tell you what frequency it's going to make.
Yeah.
And the frequency is the frequency of a 30 caliber bullet hitting ballistic gel. And using that same triangulation of looking at the stereo channels, which which camera had a dominant, uh, you know, channel that picked up the frequency. I was able to triangulate it to the area of the van. And so it's like, I couldn't, as much as
Back
I
to
did,
the damn van.
I didn't like the van at all. Like, it really bothered me. It seemed like a crazy talk, right? I didn't want to, but the data just left me with no other choice than to admit that, yeah, the
I
bullet.
guess if nothing else, maybe Zach from Wolves and Finance, maybe he got that part right anyway when he's
Yeah,
talking about the hatch
and that's
opening
why
and closing.
I don't write anybody off. Like, as crazy as it
Right.
sounds, like, people thought I was crazy at first too. Like, you really have to keep open mind and allow
Well,
the data to take you where you can't be dogmatic about your idea of what
no,
happened.
for sure. And look, and I'm not dissing on the guy. I mean, he's super smart and he's done a lot of good work and all that. Now, but the last one where he really went a little deeper into theory, um, to me, he obviously, this is stuff I've looked into quite a bit, so I kind of, wrote off a lot of it. But it's just he didn't really go deep enough to really make a real argument. I could see somebody looking at that and saying that sounds crazy, but it's kind of hard looking at you and what, all the work you put in, and I mean the data, and I mean you're making a pretty good argument.
And I have to give a shout out to Look Out for Charlie, YouTube channel. This dude he found this frequency in like October or something. He not only
Oh,
found this
really? frequency,
but he found the frequency of the detonation too. He
Probably
played
been screaming about it and nobody's listened.
bro, like, it blew my mind. Somebody shared that with me, and it opened up a whole world for me. I immediately thought of that video with that ballistic gel farting, and I started running analysis on it. And I was like, he didn't speculate on what the frequency was. He was just like, look at
Right.
this weird frequency that I found.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I started to roll through, different 30 caliber, like 300 blackout, there's so
Mhm.
many videos of people shooting ballistic gel with 300 blackouts, a 30 caliber round.
Yep.
And dude, a lot of times they're suppressed and subsonic, so it's like you get
You get a
great
good
audio.
clean sound. Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just over and over again. I kept finding example after example. I was like, I can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, most of them are probably shot with iPhones. So I mean, not only that, but you're getting the same type of microphone picking these sounds up as what you're comparing to, right?
Exactly, directly correlational.
Yep.
And immediately my mind went to, I know, like, ballistic gel does this crazy cavitation, right? Where you see
It
like
does.
secondary explosions.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if I can detect those secondary explosions. And lo and behold, boom, the secondary explosions are there. Not only are they there, but they're in the exact pattern that you would expect for 20% ballistic gel. So
Wow.
it's not a single frequency. I just didn't find some ghost frequency that can be explained by some other thing. Like,
Well, I
this
was
is
just about to ask, all in all, I mean, have you found anything, and not just that in particular, but everything related to the ballistics gel, for, frequency wise, sound wise, have you found anything at all that comes close?
I can't explain between the actual 4940 hertz kind of like gas expel and
Mm-hmm.
then the cavitation pulses. Like, there's no other way you can explain it. And then those two iPhone cameras, they're so
Mm-hmm.
close to that van,
Yeah.
and they pick it up only in their left channel.
Right.
As you move around the crowd to the people that were more in front of Charlie, it gets fainter as you move away from the van, and
So
it
it
gets
definitely came from over there.
like, out of all the things I've triangulated, it has the strongest locale. Like, within 3 meters, I can locate this frequency. And then, it's the secondary cavitation pulses too. Like, it gives
I'll
you
just be honest, I didn't like the van either, but
dude, the van. And I tried my best just not to even pay attention to it. It just didn't
right.
make no sense to me. But that frequency, the 4940 got my attention. But then when I got the cavitation too, it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's too much for me just to ignore. And then I started to look at the actual videos for it. and we'll go back to this one. It captures it pretty good.
Well, I mean, and look, part of it, I think for me, I was probably just a little bit turned off to begin with, because anybody that mentioned that damn fan was using it to say that he wasn't dead, that he faked all of this. So,
right.
there's another thing that just turns people off to it, because a lot of people just look at the overall. I mean, just
Yeah,
no,
and
that's not what happened.
I'm guilty of it too. I take what I think happened and I apply that lens to data.
Yeah.
And I've learned through being wrong by so many different things through this event, having people correct me, that I try to keep a completely open mind when I'm looking at data. I just let the
Me
data
too.
speak for itself,
Me too.
and don't try
Absolutely.
to put a filter on it to try to make it shoehorn it to fit your idea of what happened. Just let the data tell you. If it doesn't
Yep.
fit what you think, that's fine. It's
Yep.
not conclusive one way or another. It's just another data point.
Are you trying to find the truth, or are you trying to prove your point?
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, and so at the end of the day, I'll tell you what my number one hang up with all that is, with the whole Charlie still alive thing. I would be tickled to death if I found out without. I mean, I'd probably be a little pissed in some ways too. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that would be great to find out that he was still alive. But my main issue with that is we see all of the shady stuff, all of all the lies, all the, looks like apparent, alleged shady dealings going on with Turning Point, that I feel like probably he was finding out about. Thus why he was asking for the Doge effort, not Doge audit. But
Yeah.
and besides that, all of a sudden you have all this donor money that's flowing in now again, and there we all know why it wasn't before this. Um, and to go with the whole he faked it and he's still alive just absolves everybody automatically up
Yeah.
front. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's my issue. I don't have to go any further than that. I at least want these people looked at. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like any crime. You look at the means, you look at the motive, like,
yeah.
but it's, and then you look at their actions after the fact.
But that's
And
what I was going to say. When people are acting like that, I'm not going. To just theorize that. I'm not going to go with the theory that just completely. I have to completely forget what I've been seeing and hearing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I can't. I can't do that.
But yeah, this video shows it. I ruined it because I zoomed in on this. But you see this shadowy figure right here. This guy is a guy that actually opened this trunk up, and he opens it at like seconds before Charlie's shot, and he quickly like zips around. And as soon as that rifle shot goes off, nobody else responds to it, but he looks over his shoulder and like ducks down. You know what I mean? Like,
All right, put your mouse back over there again, because I
yeah,
kept catching a glimpse of it, and then
this guy right here.
oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He basically, if you watch, you still see him here. Watch as that shot goes off. Watch what he does. So that's the crack. Now, as soon as that muzzle blast hits him, you see him look up and over. Nobody else even really responds. But it's just like the fact that that dude is the dude that opened. You see him duck down. Boom. Look, nobody else is even moving yet. Look at him.
Right.
He's already ducked down, hunkered. Nobody else has even responded yet.
Well,
Like,
you'd probably duck too if you knew somebody was shooting into the.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's the dude. If anybody had to know that they were going to be
Yeah.
shooting a block of ballistic, it's the dude that had to open the van up, and he acts like that, like well before anybody else does. Like,
He probably caught a cussing after the fact. He was like, what the hell? Did you expect me to just stand there? Like, I don't trust anybody that much.
what do you do though? But back to the microphone case, right? This is
There we go.
Candace. Thank God for her, right?
Oh, I'm telling you.
She drops those crumbs and she stays so cool and coy about it. She can't
I love it.
associate herself with any theory because they'll just beat her up over it. But
Well,
man,
that's what I was going to say. Look, here lately, and I am not naming names because I ain't into all that drama, but there have been a few people lately that have started, like at least asking, and they're insinuating something. But why does she not turn this loose? Why does she not turn that loose? Why does she wait on it? Why does she wait on, And I know because I've been following her long enough that I know how she works. But some of these people act like all of the years that she has worked to get all these people in all these places, be it government, Turning Point, or whatever, or the 5 million plus, viewers that she's got on YouTube alone, all the years that she's put into building this thing, that anything that comes from those people, any information that she gets from those people is just owed to everybody. Well, go get your own 5 million viewers and get your own people in government and people in Turning Point. If you think, you know, that's how you are owed it. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can't just say, and if she look exactly like a theory like this, there's been a few along the way that I know. I don't think she believes the narrative, but she just can't go. What would be the purpose of her attaching herself to a theory like this at this point?
Yeah.
You know,
She has to be calculating on how she
yes,
shares information, because not only
yes,
is she, she's risking her reputation, but she could be risking her sources too. You know what I
yep,
mean? Like you can't
yep.
you can't get information immediately, just release it, because it gives
Well,
those people away. Like the timeliness of when information released gives you a
it
lot of idea
makes a
where it
big
came from.
difference. And when she is not just holding it back to hold things up or to make things harder on other people, she is doing, she knows what she wants to do. She knows what her end goals are, and she knows how to use. She knows how to hold stuff back. I mean, look how many times she's let people dig themselves a hole and then just boop, there it is. You
Yeah.
know, oh, she's
Um,
such a liar. Oh, she, lie about all these different things. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, randomly, she's like, nope, there's the messages,
yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I have
It's
no problem with her holding back. When she holds back, I know that there's there's a reason for it, and at some point we'll see, and it'll be great.
Yeah, every time I lose faith, she comes back and
Yep.
she proves me wrong.
I don't care how long she holds on to stuff. I mean, like I understand by now after all this time that she's got a reason for it.
But we
Um,
can see that black,
mhm.
tempered glass front. We got pieces here. We got pieces here. That piece there, she's already shown us. We have a piece underneath over this side. And then if we look at the seat,
So now let me ask you real quick. So yes, so they shoved him in the car in that middle row.
yeah,
What is your theory as to how it would have gotten into the back? My first thought is, especially when them throwing him in there, it empties out of his shirt. I mean, unless that seat is completely solid, which we had a Tahoe and a Suburban, but I mean, there were spaces in between there, so
it's
I
a
feel like
that
it
has
could
a
fall
captain
through.
seat. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has captain seats. So
So there's the
basically,
first part of that. Yep.
yeah, and if you watch how they drug him away, his
Well, and
shirt.
do we know that he showed up at the hospital with his shirt on, or I mean, did the shirt possibly get taken
There's
off, cut off of him?
Yeah, there's some weird unnecessary like narrative about that where
Well,
they
you know
talk
what I'm
about.
saying, though. If they'd have took his shirt off and threw it in the back or something, it could have been full of that, and it could have easily got there that way. But
Yeah, they claim that that they hopped on the Gertie and cut it off on them
the
as they pulled them into the it's just like,
right,
and then other people claim that it was on them, so it's just like,
yeah.
yeah, who do you really believe? It sounds.
I think there's a reason why those stories don't line up, and
Yeah, and then the more
it's
they
not
talk,
good.
like, oh, we were giving them CPR on the way to the hospital, and
Oh,
then
so you're giving CPR to somebody with a gaping neck wound. So you're just literally just trying to, I guess you're just pumping him dry the whole way to the hospital.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, no, we weren't giving them CPR.
Right.
We had to stop the bleeding. So like,
Anybody
well,
I know that, I mean, anybody I've talked to that really knows about that type of, trauma, emergency trauma stuff, is always said, you have to stop, you have to plug that hole before you try to do CPR. Otherwise you're just,
yeah,
you know,
you're making the already desperate
you're
situation
yes,
worse.
you're
You're just
bleeding the
gonna,
person out even faster. I
yeah,
mean, if they're going to bleed out, then what's the point in the whole CPR? I mean, so yeah, you got to close that, and we all know that didn't happen.
yeah. All right. So now I'm
And
gonna show
then
you.
there's the dispatch calls that says somebody was trying to get up out of there, on their
Hey,
way to the hospital.
if I was
So
one of the security team and I wasn't in on it, you best
that's what
believe
I was wondering. I
I'll
mean,
be like, let me out of this SUV.
yeah.
You people have got me caught up into something that I don't want
Yeah,
nothing to do
this is
with.
not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like there's no way that it could have been him. I mean, some people
No,
theorize that it could have possibly been. I don't see it.
no.
Um,
I think they pulled him in between those two captain seats, and that's why we
yeah,
see the majority of the fragmentation in between the two captain seats. There's like a
yeah,
pile of it there,
yeah.
and those latest pictures she shows is somebody pulled up the floor mat. And I could never understand. It's like, how do you get a big old pile of the fragments, the glass fragments, which are basically that case right there.
Right.
I have tape on it because it's a hot mess. You can see
Yeah.
all that fragmented glass.
Yep.
Imagine what it looked like after it got
Oh yeah,
exploded. But
definitely.
how did it all end up in one pile in between the seats? And somebody pulled up the floor mat. And so, you can see the floor mat sitting on its side in between the captain seats.
Hmm.
And we couldn't see that in the initial pictures that she
Right.
released. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's how you get the pile of glass fragments. They were all over that floor mat. And when
And then
someone
when it
lifted
got
it
pulled
up
up,
and set
yeah,
it on the side, they all dumped out
it all
in
dumped
one
out in one
big
pile.
pile. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I've heard some of these people that have been kind of questioning her motives on when and how she releases these pictures and stuff was also like, I just don't think there's enough glass in that microphone. There's too much. It's spread out. It's in the back, whatever. So there was a whole theory about smashing a phone screen. And I mean, like, I don't know. I haven't seen no evidence to really
I
like
don't know. That's a pretty
that's
big
what I
hump
was going
there.
to say. I mean, but
I
it
mean,
seems small in, when you think about it, but like literally they break down to such small pieces. I mean, I have messed with tempered glass some,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean that thing there could make hundreds, if not thousands of shards.
And if you look real close, you can actually see some of that text, that kind of like gray text on it.
Yes, I believe so too. I
You can
believe
see
so
the
too.
text in between that record button and the other button on it. So it's
Yeah,
like it's not just some random glass, and then it's
right.
beveled edge. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it on there, but
there's
it has
several
a
shots
rounded
I've
edge.
seen that looks like the
And that
shards are beveled.
flash, they use the flash of the camera, and when you take a picture of this thing with a flash of the camera, that beveled edge, it
Yep,
lights up. And I've
yep,
lined it up next to mine. It's the exact same size beveled glass. So
yep.
either we had a rando black, glass breaking the SUV that had the exact same beveled
A
edge that has
phone
some
screen
gray
would not
text.
look like that.
Right. It doesn't break like that either. They use like
Right.
Gorilla Glass on a
Yeah.
phone screen. You know what I
Yep.
mean? The thing shatters, but pieces of it never come off. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can turn the thing to like spider webs and not a
I've
single
had
piece.
them before. Yeah, you still had to literally dig it out of there, like the way they. Yeah, but the other thing too is, so is that clear with something behind it, or is that actually
It's
dark
black.
glass?
Black is night glass. Yep.
Okay,
Just
that's the
black.
other thing is a phone screen. I mean, unless there's something I
Yeah.
haven't seen, they're always clear.
Yep. Exactly. You couldn't explain,
Even the phone backs that are grill or that are
are
tempered
clear
glass,
with.
it's
Yep.
still clear over a black. Yeah. So to
Because you know
me,
what? They make phones in different colors. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They
yeah,
use the
yeah.
clear glass, and then the different colors are the backing of it.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it
it's,
would be stupid to make the glass colored,
and then why in the world would someone's phone just blow up in a rental
Right.
SUV?
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense.
No, I
And if
know.
you look at the table, that Charlie was on, you can see fragments of the case on the table. We know that the big honking microphone wasn't on his shirt. Like,
Well, I
look
mean,
at it.
we see something falling out of the top of the tent,
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
there's
look at this thing. It doesn't just disappear all of a
no,
sudden. You know what I
no,
mean? Like, I can't fold it over on itself
it
without it
went
just
somewhere.
look. It goes back. You know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah.
just magically. The big honk doesn't disappear.
No,
And
no,
then look at the battery. Like, look at the battery, and
it's exactly the same
it's
size.
exactly the same size. So it's like
Yeah.
you look at that trajectory, and it's I have a video that people. That's another thing. They're like, the trajectory is impossible. There's no way it
I
would
know
go
who
from
you're
his
talking
chest.
about too.
There's no way that it goes to his chest. And it's like,
I know exactly who you're talking about.
whatever, bro. Like, let me show you.
Oh man, why don't you just debate that boy and get it
Nah, I won't give him the pleasure. Uh,
Oh man.
I don't. I got better things to do with my time than to just have people. If people would like, I'm all for like discourse with somebody, but when people just ignore the things that you bring up, and
that's what I was going to say. It has to be in good faith. I mean, somebody has to actually be.
We have to get somewhere. Like, I'm all for sparring. I love it. Let's spar. Let's get somewhere. But when you just ignore and whataboutism on this, that, or other, like, I just can't. I don't have time for that. Like,
I seen a video title of something to the effect of, I convinced, or I changed somebody's mind. So I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, then
here we go. So look.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did this trajectory, right? So like, oh, it's impossible. So I did the video, and they're like, his body position wasn't like that. Well, this is me ghosted over Charlie. Like, me and Charlie are roughly the same size. Like, that is his posture.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
I need to pull you up.
Yeah, hold up. It's all right. Start back over there. Sorry.
All right. Did you get me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, here we go. So that is Charlie's body position. Like, I'm ghosted over him.
You're pretty.
He's even humped more than I am. I could even pull the full slump that Charlie had that day.
Well, that's freaky looking.
And then if you look, boom, right now, look at this trajectory. It's the same. The mic's in the same position. I'm in the same position. This rod didn't magically bend around my neck. And look at where it digs in. It's in the exact same space where we see the wound. And it would hit his Adam's apple. Well, why isn't it going through my Adam's apple?
Right, like, exactly.
It's again, like, people
look. I agree 100%. If somebody was trying to plan that trajectory out, it's a poor location.
Yes,
you know what I mean. If that was intentional, but it was not. This was not what they were planning to have happen. So,
and you could see the looks on their faces. They had
the oh shit look. I mean,
they hear the rifle shot. What
the hell
hear
are we
that crack
do now?
of the bullet. They don't even move. It's just like, just eye gazing at Charlie. It wasn't until the blood squirts out of his neck, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do now?"
We weren't supposed to be dealing with all this.
And then Dan Flood throws him to the floor. You know what I mean? It was like he was throwing him from the top rope on the floor, like, oh, let's not let people see this for much longer.
Right.
And then they just stand over and look at him. Dan Flood turns his meta glasses on. I'm sure he's getting the command central. What do we do? And they're probably spinning the narrative right then. They're like, all right.
And I don't care what anybody says to me. I mean, it does appear that Rick Cutler is smiling more than once in that whole.
Right. You could say it's stress or whatever, but like, how does that dude not react? He hears the supersonic crack.
Not he somebody hears the like him. Blast. Though. You're talking about a special forces dude that's been. I mean,
and he's just sitting there. I mean, just like and eye gazing him the whole time. And it wasn't until the blood starts to come out of his neck that he's like, oh.
Why was he propped up on outside of the barrier looking at Charlie?
What purpose did he have? There was 2 police officers that were walking behind the tents.
It wasn't to protect Charlie. You don't look at the.
I think his eyeballs on the roof line may have done Charlie a little better than
right,
gazing at him like.
Yep. No, I mean that does no good to watch to watch Charlie. You have to be looking at everybody else. Now, granted, you could be watching Charlie's back, but what good are you doing way up there? If you're going to watch his back, you need to be over there behind him. So it makes absolutely no sense why he would have been. And it wasn't just because he was wanting to hear what Charlie had to say. I mean, like,
if you listen to it's
and
the
if
same
it was,
questions.
He needed to be fired anyway.
It's the same questions Charlie answers at every event. Like they could put an AI recorder of Charlie up there and answer the questions. It's the same thing every time. Like it's nothing different, nothing unique. Nobody comes up there and asks Charlie some some revelational question that's going to get some special. It's always the same rehearsed, and his answers are always about the same. You could tell it was, I'm sure that he was tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. So
I mean, he was there was some purpose for him being there, but it didn't. It had nothing to do with,
it was about raising funds. That was their main way to get people signed up to it and get funds.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They get out in the college to get people all up in arms about it.
Yep.
But back to the microphone. So we know that the case broke, right? Because documented, because it's gone. It's not underneath it. Now, what caused the collar? And so we have this little jewel
the board
here.
right there. Right?
That's the board, right? And you see it has this weird blue
Yeah, it
color
does
to
have
it.
a blue tint to it. Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to isolate this blue tint under against the flesh and the white shirt. You
Mm-hmm.
can easily pick up the peaks, and there's no reason to have blue peaks in that area for any other
No,
reason than
no, I
it's
can't
the.
think of any.
And then if you look at the shape that it creates, I mean, when that thing
Yeah,
blows across the chest
that's
and
exactly what it looks like.
stretches up the collar, I mean, it's the same dimension, and then you get a little peak of the corner sticking out.
You can see that little rounded corner.
Yep, it's
Yep.
the same. You look at my shirt, the stress lines. You know, it's the same thing. And what's connected to the circuit board? The battery.
The battery.
Right? And you know, if we look at the wound on the neck, it's the same shape as the battery. You know, and not only that, you know, I've kind of pulled this picture up accidentally, but we see it fall out of the wound. Like it's not like it's some, you know, mysterious what object caused the wound. Like we see it.
Yeah.
We know the source of it. We know the shape of it. We see the rectangular wound on his neck, and we see the object fall out of his neck. So it's
and granted, I mean, look, their bullets do funny things. I can't even believe I'm saying this because I'm so far past this. Bullets do funny things, but you know, even a bullet that is, you know, what they call tumbling, you know, be it from a bad barrel or whatever, just a terrible bullet. Yeah, they will sometimes not make a perfectly round hole entrance, but it's not gonna have square corners.
Yeah, and it's not gonna fall out of the
and it
wound.
doesn't fall back out.
Yeah.
He must have had a steel, you know, carotid, not a steel spine.
Yeah, his neck, his skin was
Or that.
a
Who was
Kevlar.
that one person on X that was talking about how yes, it is it is possible to stop the 30-06. Basically, that his skin acted like a trampoline and pushed the bullet back in. Did you see that?
I can believe
a
that.
while back. Oh
Yeah,
my God!
I can believe someone, you know, kind of coming up with it's the things that people come up with is just beyond me. But you know, you can
claim to be an ammo or bullet expert or some kind of ballistics expert or something. I was like, oh God.
the wound is the almost a half a second before it starts to bleed.
That's,
and so
to me, that's the biggest thing right there, is the fact that everything else happens and then the wound appears.
And this was a really crude way to replicate this, but basically,
there's your skin, right? That's
yeah,
homegrown skin.
the bacteria cellulose
Yeah.
that's used for medical students. They use it to practice surgeries. It's like cutting flesh and
I
sewing
was gonna
flesh.
say it's almost exactly the same, right?
It feels like skin. It's the most eerie thing you could imagine. And then I made the same size and weight as the battery. And then
that looks kind of like Freddy Krueger skin, I guess.
yeah, it's pretty gross. And then I basically wrapped it around some pork chops. So, you know, it was a crude way to reenact a neck. And then you can see just penetrates deep enough and that it would fall back out with, you know, blood pressure. And then you look at the hole it creates. It's a, you know, pretty much
a rectangular
hole. And if we look at, you know, the I
maybe
do
want to get up and
here
dance.
We go. Boom. So look,
yeah,
we can see this. This is not blood.
No,
right? Blood doesn't have squared edges. It doesn't have reflective, you know, sides on it.
I think there's no question whatsoever to that. I don't.
Yeah, and this is when I still thought it was the microphone clasp, right?
Clasp,
I couldn't explain why it was you know, had that reflective material. But the battery has gold reflected tape on it. So as it falls and turns, you can see the gold reflective tape.
The light hitting it.
Yeah. Yep. And so you map the shape of it. The shape of the wound's the exact same shape of the battery, which happens to be the same shape as the magnetic clasp. So
yeah, and you know, somebody might argue, look at that, it's not perfectly square, but we're talking about skin. I mean, yes, it is a square, or it's a hole with square corners. I mean, as square as you're going to get the
Yeah, from a
skin.
blunt object
Exactly. So I
impacting
mean,
the skin of
right.
your neck. It's
Yeah.
not gonna make a perfect outline like Wile E. Coyote. It's gonna, leave some tearing,
Yeah.
and it
I mean,
hit
it's
at a really.
elastic. Skin's elastic, so it may pull back some a little bit. It is still, for all intents and purposes, it has square corners.
Yeah, and it's a 27-degree angle. Like, it's a really odd angle. Like, it was a.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy means to penetrate. But this is slow motion. You can kind of see like the same sort of deformation that we see on Charlie's neck. Like, you see, and then this takes forever for it to start to drip the juice from it. So it's like the
Right.
same type, boom. So it's the same type of effect. It's very crude. I have a ballistic torso that I've made that I have wrapped in
Wrapped
the
in the cellulose.
the bacteria cellulose that
Bacteria.
I just now finished it. It was a chore to make. And so I'm gonna start, firing this battery off into it and see what comes of it. But
So what, I mean, what are the edges like on the battery? Are they actually sharp, or was it literally just enough blunt force to?
no, they're sharp enough to when it
Well,
hits you,
I
it's
was going to
gonna.
say that wrap, what it's wrapped in, that like, is it like plastic and foil, what have you? I mean,
Yeah.
it'd
Yep.
be enough to.
Yeah, I mean, it's sharper edges than the magnet class. The magnet class has like a rubber cover on it,
Right.
so it's a little
Yeah.
bit, softer to the touch and rounded. The battery, is for all intents and purposes, you shoot that at someone at 500 feet per second,
Yeah.
it's gonna leave a mark. If you shoot it at the soft flesh of your neck, it's gonna penetrate about 2 to 3 centimeters, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what we saw. And that's
And
why
it
we
would be
only.
one thing if the side of the battery, or however you want to call it, but the flat part, it'd be one thing if it hit perfectly with the flat up against the neck. Now, that's one thing. Yes,
Yeah,
obviously, it's not going to, but when you come in at an angle with the sharp edges of that wrap on that
yep.
battery, you know what I mean? Like that
It
changes things.
it catches that muscle right there in your neck. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
hammock, and then
Yep.
it basically digs in, and it's right underneath that muscle. Inside of that muscle is your jugular vein, and so that bleeding that we saw is wasn't under pressure from his heart. That was blood draining from
Draining.
his brain, and
Yeah.
so that's why it had such a weird coagulated look.
Yeah.
And
There's a big difference between venous blood and,
yeah, we would have seen
arterial.
pulsation.
Yeah.
If it would have not just penetrated the jugular, right?
Right.
We would have seen a completely different bleeding pattern, which again makes it impossible for a 30-06 impact to create that wound. There's no way that a
There's
30
no way it
off
would have
6
got one and not the other.
exactly. It would have blown all the vascular
All of that.
system. It would have just been a pink mist and then
Yep.
just pulsation until his heart stops. And we didn't get any of that. It took 0.44 seconds for us to see any blood. And then when we do see blood, it's like somebody was pouring out of a
Dumping
pitcher.
it out of a bucket or something. Yep. Yeah.
As he falls over, you see it just kind of like.
I don't remember if it was Valhalla or somebody. I remember seeing somebody else even, talking about how obviously it's damn near impossible that this bullet wouldn't come out the back, but that even if it did, if there was by some miracle it didn't come out, you would still see that pink spray. You would see something out the front. Like all that energy has to go somewhere, and if it doesn't come out the back, it's going to have to come back through the front. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, you look at it's pretty well documented, like the forensic science of blood spatter. They come at these murders after the case, and then
I don't know.
they can reconstruct from just looking at how the blood is
They can just
spattered
tell by
around.
the blood spatter exactly.
They know which position the shooter was in, how it impacted the person, and you go and look at that well-documented science. There's no evidence that there was a high velocity impact on Charlie that day.
No.
You don't. It's not like it's missing this detail or that detail. There's literally no evidence of it. So if we didn't have videos of it and someone came after the fact and tried to explain it, nobody would say it was a rifle shot because there's nothing to make you lend you to believe that. Like outside of us hearing that rifle and them telling us that Tyler Robinson shot him from the rooftop, there's no evidence that he was shot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not, nothing whatsoever. Literally all we got is what they said happened, and
and
obviously
and
that doesn't.
and it's just why they leak all this information about, all this damning information. Like if they're really concerned about tainting a jury pool or whatever, or the court case.
That works two ways. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
If alternate theories on what happened, and of course this wasn't created in a vacuum. I mean, like, I mean, and there's a reason why nobody just started digging into this because everything made sense. So for starters, and they can blame it on investigations and trial, but at this point investigation supposedly is over with, right? I mean, we've already got charging document. But they can blame it on that all they want, but like the Mangione, the guy in New York that killed the healthcare CEO. I mean, like, literally that day or the next day before they found him, they had put out videos of him pulling a gun out and shooting dude in the back. To this day, we have not even got a picture or video of Robinson up there even laying prone, much less taking a shot.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason why everybody's done this. And at the end of the day, if throwing these alternate theories out there is going to taint the jury pool against him, all these people like Jack Posobiec, all these insufferable people on X all day long screaming it was Tyler Robinson, is going to taint the jury pool in the other way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, which is better? I think this has been debated for a very long time. Is it better that is it better that a guilty man walks free, or that an innocent man is put to death?
Yeah.
I mean, like, neither one of them are ideal situations, but there's a reason why all it takes is that reasonable doubt is enough said. Like, all you got to do is create reasonable doubt.
And that's my whole case, is that there's more than enough reasonable doubt. To say that it's quite possible that Tyler Robinson did not kill Charlie Kirk. I don't think that's unreasonable to say that.
No,
they act like it's
now. Was he involved? Yeah, probably. Very well could be.
It was easy to bait a lot of these kids into, even my 16-year-old, he says crazy things about Charlie Kirk. I'm like, why do you have a reason not to like Charlie Kirk? I mean, I wasn't some big Charlie Kirk fan,
right?
But I had no reason not to like him. I thought he was a great debater. He's a good father. Like, there's the more reasons to like Charlie Kirk than there is not to like him. And the amount of hate that you see surrounding him, and it's just completely unfounded. It's just, they're literally just repeating things that they've heard. Charlie Kirk is a fascist.
That's all it is.
Charlie Kirk is a racist. Like,
and I hadn't heard 90% of these people don't even know what these things actually even are. You know what I mean? They don't even know the definition.
Define it. If you gave them $100 to define what a fascist is, they couldn't give you an example of a fascist in history.
Charlie Kirk.
They couldn't tell you the definition of a fascist, but they love just labeling people, and it's because you can dehumanize people. It's just they say the left killed Charlie Kirk. It's the same reason that they released that, he played 10 or 50 Shades of Furry or whatever, or that he had a tranny roommate. Like, anything that they could use to dehumanize Tyler Robinson from the general population makes it easier for the people just to accept it and throw them to the wolves and look over all the contrary information that is more than enough reasonable doubt not to convict this poor kid. And I was a teenager once. I thought crazy things, and I was sure that I was right, and I did stupid things that could have affected my life forever if I got caught doing it. And I can't help but have empathy for this poor kid. Like, there's no telling the amount.
If he got up there and used Grandpa's 30-06 and shot him in the neck, do what, whatever.
There have to be consequences for that sort of action. But if some FBI agent, honey dicked him to show up at that's event,
what I was going to say. It'd be so easy to get him up there.
Even if he brought Grandpa's rifle, thinking that somebody else was going to use it.
You just get up there and be a lookout.
Hey, bring Grandpa's rifle.
etch
Yep.
some funny stuff on the bullet shells. We're going to
Yep.
take care of Charlie Kirk. And he's
Yep.
just sitting there at Dairy Queen looking at the TV thinking, wow, look, the plan went as planned. And then all of a sudden he sees that he's the suspect. He's like, what do you do? You know,
Well, that or the other thing, he's like, he's up there, and he's got in position so he can look out. About the time he gets positioned, boom, and
Boom.
he's like, oh shit.
Yep. Guess what? I'm the
I'm out of
patsy.
here.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Turning Point USA gets their $100 million from foreign entities, and they get all the issues of their money issues and the audits they have. All that goes away.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they got brand new leadership. They can pivot and go whichever direction they want.
Blame
Nobody
it all
ever
on
say,
Charlie.
erase all old Charlie's podcasts. Anytime he said anything that was different from what they're doing now, just
We
erase
already
it,
see how they're
memory,
trying to
memory hole it, and just
Yep.
Live on his legacy, but don't let what he actually thought and believed live on. And that's,
oh yeah, you're hearing it a lot lately. Now that this whole Iran mess, it's just they can tell everybody what Charlie would have thought the whole time. Them saying, well, he's not here, so nobody can really say what he would have thought. And you're an asshole for speculating on what he would have thought. It's just it's a joke.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it would have been the easiest thing in the world to have got him up there. I just don't feel like that's why I've said from day one, he could very well be involved. It would not surprise me at all if he was involved,
Yeah.
but he didn't get up there and
We already know that multiple parties were involved. So
yeah, I mean, they had
we had
to
the
be.
old man George Zim down
Yep.
there willing
Yeah.
to pull his pants down with child porn on his phone and say he shot him. Like, does that make any sense? Like, how easy is it to put child porn on anybody's device now? You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like, you go.
No, that's what they do. I mean, look, everything's monitored. Even if they don't put it on there, you don't think they've got a short list of people that enjoy that type of thing that they can use in those situations?
They contact. Hey, you want
We know what you've
500
been looking at.
Bitcoin? All you got to do is show up as so and so, and when
Yep.
you hear a rifle shot, say you shot Charlie. You won't
And
be.
you can go to jail. You won't have to go to jail. You know how those people that like CP, you know how they fare in prison.
Hey, you see how Jeffrey Epstein, they rolled him out of there and sent him
Yeah.
to wherever he's hanging out now. So
Tel Aviv.
it doesn't matter. Our justice system is perverted to the point where there's a certain class of people that know that they won't face justice.
Well, look, there's been more people over this one particular case that have really changed their whole outlook on the way things work. And I keep hoping and praying that maybe sooner or later there'll be enough pressure out there that they have to do something. To me, if they were going to do something like this, I understand why they picked somebody as influential. They did it, I feel like, because he was so influential. But at the same time, that leaves a bunch of pissed off people that want answers, real answers.
Well, if you look at it the lens of where we have hindsight now, right? Obviously, this Iran war was a big key point for him. You want to go to war? Who's historically always anti-war? It was the left. So if you want to go to war and you want to get the majority of people behind it, then you have to divide people away from the left. You can't have a unified political environment where people can speak quarterly and voice their opinions and hear each other out. You need everyone polarized. So whatever the bad team thinks, you think the opposite. And that's why it was immediately after they killed Charlie. They killed Charlie.
Yeah. So I did a video where I brought up a lot of that, how quick everybody was to go to the microphone.
The radical left. The radical left killed Charlie.
Besides that, they used the word shot. They made sure he was shot with a gun, was said in that way, just like old Farnsworth right off the get-go. He's dead. He's dead.
He's dead. They killed Charlie. They killed Charlie.
Who's they? But yeah, I showed several clips where right off the bat, this is what gets me. Look at how many times we've had a trans shooter. They will, the news, the media will do backflips to keep from saying that that's what they are. It's just a he or she, whatever, just somebody shoots up this school, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to, it's like pulling teeth to get that out of them. But this time, for whatever reason,
Right off the bat.
before he was even found,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody knew that he was dating trans furry, and you know.
Hey, I'll admit, y'all, like that was and hey, how y'all doing, by the way? I know
Hey, buddy.
I'm grateful to share space with y'all today. But yeah, that was the first thing. I was not even engaged in politics or any of that really, but whenever I saw the immediate political posturing after this, like my black magic magician's dark magician meter went off, and I was like, dude, there is something going on behind the scenes with this. So yeah, that resonates with me.
Yep. Always.
And one thing I wanted to say too, John, is like, you know, on my channel, I've kind of been, you know, trying to get everybody to kind of distinguish between what's the evidence that this was not a 30-06 from the roof versus further what it actually was. Because in my view, two wrongs don't make it right. We need, I know for my channel, we've been focusing on how can we show, because I feel that Tyler Robinson probably did not do as stated, you know, and so what evidence do you think is most poignant showing that this was not a 30-06 from the roof, just in your opinion?
The necklace.
Okay.
It's the number one thing that you just can't explain.
No way to explain it.
Yeah.
Dude. Like the snapping of a necklace, maybe, but the snapping, the trajectory, the speed, and how close it was to the epicenter of the other unexplained events. It's like once you start to put all those pieces together, the microphone, the only way they could back themselves out of it is say that the bullet struck the microphone. That would be the only thing that could make it make sense. All right, the bullet hit the microphone, it sent the shrapnel out, it broke the necklace. You know, that could possibly make sense. But, you know, the bullet hitting the opposite side of his body in the neck and causing the necklace to snap, known as collarbone, the opposite side, and fling with energy
That's what
around.
I was going to say. I mean, but it would had to have broken right there.
And what's the most important is the order of operations.
Yes.
It's just like a complex math equation. Like you have to approach it through the order of operations to get the right answer, right? And so if you look at the order of operations, the first energetic, you know, kind of movement that we see was in and around where that microphone was. And then we tie those movements together, and you can see it's radial away from where the microphone was. So, you know, that is on the opposite side of where they're telling us the first instance of energy came from. So if you just look at it that's, you know, like my website, it's follow the epicenter. If you follow the epicenter, you can clearly see that the official narrative doesn't fit reality, because you can't have energy start on the opposite side of the body when the official narrative is telling you that the first order of events of the energy came from the opposite side in its neck from a 30-06 impact. It doesn't compute. You can't in any reality, if you look at all the evidence, you can't make it fit.
Yeah. And you know, I grew up in Northeast Texas, and we deer hunted a lot. We shot a lot of rifles, 30-06, 300, stuff like that. And just, my impression from my experience was that seeing that wound and all that, like it made no sense that that's a 30-06 frag round or whatever. I don't care. You know, the 30-06 packs a big punch, and it would have been, in my opinion, very, very gruesome had we actually seen something like that.
But and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, for anybody out there that thinks, you know, this is way too much, I can't process all this or whatever. But at the very end of the day, breaking it all the way down as simple as you can break it. I mean, where even a kid could understand it. Literally, the first and main point I would say is, like you said, the order of events. So for their story, for their narrative to be correct, the first thing you have to see is a neck wound, and then everything else comes from there.
Yeah.
And there's no other way around that, because
so Adam, are you saying that if it was a bullet, we would have seen the wound in the cavitation?
Yes, exactly. Because none of that can happen until that bullet transfers its energy into, you know, but the way we see it, everything else happens, and the last thing we see is the wound appear. If you slow that down, you can see the shirt, the necklace, everything happens, and then the neck wound appears. And there's just no way to, I mean, like, it is what it is. There's no possible way that could be from a bullet.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, John, your thoughts on, obviously the media filed a reply motion about the private motion the defense had filed, I think January 6th or 9th. And it basically revealed that there's an ATF report where they allegedly found some kind of bullet fragment in an autopsy, but that it was inconclusive. I'm assuming what they did was probably a striation match and maybe the fragment was inconclusive. And what it was is the government wanted to and this is just me theorizing, probably wanted to do a chemical analysis, which would have been destructive, which is why the defense filed that motion. But what are your thoughts generally on the fact that there might have been a bullet fragment found in the wound, considering that Brian Harpole admitted to manipulating the wound through stuffing it with gauze? Just what are your general thoughts on that?
Well, I think when you look at history, we'll look at the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
These events, they lend on each other. Like, they learn from past mistakes and they carry on things that worked from previous mistakes. So if you had where you knew that you baited this Tyler Robertson to bring a 30-06 rifle, you'll more than likely have a 30-06 round that's been fired out of a similar rifle, ready to plant. And, would they have the opportunity to plant this? Well, yeah, they privately took him his private security, hauled him off into a private
Harpole
SUV,
could have done that,
and drove him off to, some predetermined hospital. So they had all the opportunity in the world to plant whatever they wanted on it. And, the simple fact is that even if they were to want, this was such a meticulously planned event, they could put a shard of shrapnel into that shape charge and have it launch into the wound. They don't tell us where they found the fragment. They don't tell us what
the jacket's going to be copper, right? Of most bullets.
Yeah, they could make a shape charge, right? That has
the cone not generally copper,
kind of like conical shaped thing, huh?
Yeah, they make the cones out of copper generally.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I thought
just
too.
Been a shard from there.
Yeah, so that's what I saw too.
All you have to do is just make a thick portion of the cone that's going to be, basically not displaced evenly, and it would be embedded in the flesh.
But the way they word it though, as a piece, what they call it, it's literally
it says
a
bullet
fragment.
It said right? Bullet fragment, I think.
Right.
And when I was watching Barron's episode, I haven't pulled that media motion yet, and they haven't made the private motion the defense filed. But if I remember correctly,
I'm guessing it's not enough to be considered a bullet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna figure it's a tiny little, just a shard of some type of brass or something. You know,
and we look at the MLK. You look at the data.
That's the one everybody uses.
They found that it's like 12 fragments they found in him. So it's like, okay, so MLK gets shot in the jaw, and the people compare it all the time. It didn't exit, right? But we have
but he was leaned over, being shot from below,
and his whole face is just hamburgered. You know what I mean? It's the most horrendous looking thing you've ever seen.
Yep.
And they found like a plurality of fragments. So how does Charlie get shot in zone 2 of the neck? No hard tissue at all. Probably the softest part you could probably strike somebody in the upper body, and we just get a single fragment of a bullet. You know what I mean? Like there should have numerous fragments. It's just
and also too, if we're there, I guess we can kind of indulge that this was taken out of the neck wound, but we see blood gushing out of the neck wound. I mean, wouldn't it have potentially pushed a bullet fragment out as well? And then you have the covering up of the crime scene. You're like, man.
Yeah, and then we see a rectangular object fall out of the neck wound. The rectangular neck wound has a rectangular object that falls out of it, and then the heaviest blood follows that. So it's like, if I was just looking at this, not knowing anything about it, and you just showed me that, I'll be like, it looks like a medium velocity impact of something rectangle hit his neck, like frag from something hit his neck, just enough to penetrate and break his jugular, and it plugged a hole for a little bit, but as he fell over, it came dislodged, and the jugular bled freely after that. Like all the data, all from all the angles, that's what you see. What we don't see is a 30-06 impact to the zone 2 of the neck that magically just dodges around all the other vascular tissues there and just penetrates the jugular, but doesn't bleed for 0.44 seconds. It just waits a while and makes a square wound, and then magically a rectangle fragment of that bullet falls out, and then the blood starts to flow freely.
And that's something I really want to drive home too. Again, jugular vein. I mean, if there's a carotid artery there, if it had been a 30-06 bullet, even with a steel spine that would stop a 30-06 bullet, there's no way that bullet
spine's right. Yeah.
There's no way that bullet could go in and only pierce the carotid and not get, I'm sorry.
It's going to get
the
both.
jugular
and
not get the
carotid. The carotid is under more pressure. So,
if
you
would have seen it spurting,
it would have been way more apparent. Yeah. Well, we didn't see that. We saw
should have been bright red, not brown looking. I mean, like they're,
just enough penetration to sever the jugular. And that's 2 to 3 centimeters. It's right there on the surface. And if you look at, the muscles that kind of surround that, it's that when he flexes forward, you kind of get like this hammock here. Do you look at the trajectory of the microphone to that? He gets hit in his chest from this massive force. Poof. We see his skin pull down. It creates like a hammock for it. So, that battery gets caught in its trajectory, the same trajectory the circuit board took that lifted his shirt up. It was just enough energy to catch that on that just right and penetrate just deep enough to break that jugular. And again, this wasn't planned for. They knew what they were doing. If I didn't see that neck wound, I would have never looked twice at this. They would have told us that Charlie got shot in the chest, and I would be like, that was crazy. Charlie got shot in the chest. That 30-06 is strong. It made that shirt jump around. He fell over dead. Would have never even looked back at it. He would have had a hole in his chest that went straight through.
He would have had a hole in his chest. They would have laid him down on his back and got him out of there ASAP, and nobody would have wondered about any.
No, we wouldn't have looked at it twice. It would have looked as convincing as possible. But as soon as that shrapnel from that case went across his chest and that battery struck that jugular vein, the whole operation came apart.
That's why everybody had the oh shit look on their face. It wasn't because, something happened.
That's why they had to call JD Vance into the hospital. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what you don't call the vice president. This isn't some political person. This is Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
And he gets like
and real quick before you proceed, that is a leader of a 501c3 and C4 that are not supposed to necessarily be at least on the 501c3
involved in politics,
politically inclined necessarily, but that might not need to be here nor there. Sorry about that, John.
Yeah, but it's a great point, right? It's just another it should be another veil in between him and the political establishment. But yet we have JD Vance showing up and ordering autopsies. We have them not letting physicians do their job. Like we have surgeons not being able to tell what to do. We have the cameras seized from the hospital.
Now
we
that's
have
the strange one right there.
Weird all around the vehicle that took them there. The fact that they brought them in a private vehicle, the fact that they ran past EMTs that were there with equipment to help.
Would not accept the bags.
Didn't need it. They tried to hand it to him. Nope. Let's go. Let's get.
Yeah, it's not like the EMTs didn't make it over there in time and they were gone. Like they literally walked past them with them trying to hand them. Yes.
Like, please take this if you want. If you and they had
he had his fanny pouch.
Yeah, he had his fanny pouch, so he was stuffing, gauze into the neck. And why do you need your security job was over as soon as he got shot? Guess what, guys? You failed.
Yeah.
It's time to check out.
At that point, you should get him to the car and somebody else should take over.
Your job description isn't to save Charlie's life after he's shot. Your job description was to prevent Charlie from being shot. So when Charlie was shot, it's time for you to clock out, bud.
Professionals not show up to the White House with Eric and Kirk after that.
You're done.
That tells you something.
Yeah. That whole thing, and that's the thing for me as a trial lawyer. The fact that he was non-officially treated from the start creates really big problems for like everything that subsequently came evidentiary wise. Does that make sense to y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you want parties that don't have conflicts of interest involved at some point.
Exactly. And like with the security team, their reputation at the very least could create that, a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that in the Brian Harpole interview. He was real prideful at times about like his security work and stuff and trying to point fingers.
Well, that's why they went in there, trying to blame it on the freaking police and everything else. No, dude, you're his private detail. It is your job to keep that man alive.
Day in, day out. Day in, day out.
Yep.
Day in, day out.
And then so it's just
like the Secret Service. You don't get to pass the buck.
You don't.
No.
Ambiguous text that clearly
There's no
defines,
in between.
That text clearly defines the walkway that was over Charlie. And guess what? They tied that walkway off. They had police officers up
he
there.
got everything he asked for.
The police at the university did everything that they were asked of.
Yep.
It was his fault that he took that ambiguous language to assume that every rooftop was covered when they didn't even talk about the rooftop from the.
Well, not only that, he made it sound like when dude said, "I got you," that meant that he was going to do something.
He asked for access to it.
He asked for access for that access to be blocked. Access to be blocked over the top of them, and then access to the roof. Yes. So, and they did have a guy up there. That's exactly what he asked for. Or maybe one of my guys, have it where one of my guys can go up there. And that's exactly what happened. I just lost my camera. I've got to get an AC adapter for that thing so I don't have to run off batteries. I'll be right back, folks.
Yeah, you're good. John, hey, like I said, man, good to share space with you. I went to law school in Oklahoma City, very, very connected in Oklahoma. Man, I'll tell you, I'm a trial lawyer. And, from the first time I saw you, and we talked before this, and I've been telling people on my channel, the need to stay neutral and objective and not tether ourselves to hard conclusions, even like on your theory or any of them, is very important, because I feel that the powers that be really want us entrenched in these theories and fighting one another to make us look crazy. And I just want to reiterate for our crowd that, before this, you told me that you also have that mindset. You want to elucidate a little bit for them on that?
Yeah. You can't be dogmatic in the approach of looking at information.
Amen. You got to be dogmatic about being non-dogmatic.
Yeah, because you will shoehorn yourself into making data fit your preconceived notion. And that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to raise a reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Someone's
and not
life
for the
is
sake
at
of
risk.
saving Tyler Robinson. You know what I mean? I ain't got nothing for Tyler Robinson. He's nothing to me.
And one thing too, I'll tell you,
But
as a
it's
trial
about
lawyer,
justice.
and y'all know this, their team probably won't go into court to advance an alternate theory per se. But that's why I asked you at first, like, what are the evidentiary points that point away from a 30-06 on the roof? Now, that information in your theory for sure should be, in my opinion, even if they don't present the expert testimony through you per se, and we can talk about qualification stuff later, but at least let that guide them on getting other highly paper credential experts potentially to come into court. Not saying you couldn't potentially testify in court, because even if you don't have necessarily paper credentials, you can still qualify as an expert through technical skill and research and doing work. But still, though, you do present some elements that can be used either through you or another expert or experts to throw reasonable doubt up there, right?
Well, I'm no attorney, and to me, just it doesn't seem like you would need to get too far into the weeds. It might be better not to.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and like I said, no attorney, but I feel like that all they would have to do is take a slow motion video of the moments leading up to and the moment of impact, and just show that to the jury and say, okay, this is what happens when a bullet strikes. You have a bullet wound appear, and then from there you get your cavitation and all your other stuff. Now, we're not saying what it is. You don't have to go into the whole fact of the way the microphones are made and shape charges out of Tennessee. And you know what I'm saying? Literally just, okay, watch this sequence of events. Now, watch the sequence of events with Charlie. They're saying this man crawled on a roof and shot him with a gun. Is this that you see? Is this sequence of events? Is it, at all? Does that look like the sequence of events, that a bullet would make? Okay. Yeah. So what happened? Well, we don't even know what exactly did happen, but we can say that Tyler Robinson didn't shoot him with a gun.
Yeah, but the simple
Now,
fact is the evidence.
I'll go
isn't
back to
consistent,
investigating and come back later.
right? If you're going to bring a case, you want the evidence to be consistent with the narrative.
Yeah.
And there's so many inconsistencies with the narrative that it leaves nothing but doubt, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
We don't need to explain what happened. We just need to explain that
Exactly.
there's enough inconsistencies that there's doubt.
That's what pisses me off about
official
most
story
of these
of
people
this-
on the other side.
The lone shooter with a 30-06,
Just like every other one in history.
Yeah. Yeah. And John, your theory, regardless right or wrong, dude, like you really put together.
There's nobody that's put more time and effort into a theory.
It crosses so many disciplines. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even gonna sit here and name them all, but it's like it crosses so many disciplines. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
like
it's other people's work. People bring, people.
Oh,
There's
okay.
so many. I can't name all the people that have inspired me to look into something.
That's
And
good, man.
I look at people. They have a good point, and they may be misguided. They may be shoehorning it into a conclusion that's wrong. But the data is the data, And when people find something that's inconsistent, again, I look for inconsistencies. If something that's not consistent with the official narrative, I'm going to explore it, and I'm going to try.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way on my channel.
I just want to know the conclusion to the mystery. It's like a mathematical equation to me. I just want to know the answer. It doesn't, it's. I just want to take the data, put it together, and make all the pieces of the puzzle make sense. Because the puzzle that they're feeding us is garbage. It's like a Goodwill puzzle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has missing pieces. There's some extra pieces in the thing. Like nothing of it makes sense.
It's the definition of trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead, John. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's the psychological operations that they use to drive an emotional, narrative that pulls people away from their logical thinking. And so to me,
Exactly.
I just want to pull people back to the logic of just look at the scenario that we saw unfold.
Amen.
Take the emotions out of it. Take the narrative out of it. Just look at the physical happenings, look at all the key events. Like the energy just doesn't appear out of nowhere. It leaves a fingerprint. You can rewind it and play it back, and it's the same way every time. They can tell you a story, and your eyes may believe it when you hear the story, but when you drowned out the narrative of what happened, and you just allow the eyes that God gave you to tell you what happened, if your own good sense, you can come to a conclusion of your own. You don't have to listen to someone else feed you what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
I want to tell you not to believe your lying eyes, and
Exactly.
And I'm also too, to be quite honest with you, I've been looking into them choosing to go for the death penalty, and then what that means for the lawyers that they chose for Tyler Robinson. I'm going to be presenting on that later this week, and man, there's some questions. I mean, this thing could have been a deeply entrenched psyop, dude. Even to the point of choosing to go death penalty in order to sequester certain attorneys to basically control the opposition. I mean, I'm not saying that for sure, but man, there's some questions going on for me anyways. I'll be presenting this week.
If this last 2 hours don't cause some questions for some people, then I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean,
well, we lose confidence in our justice system.
Yes.
I've lost a lot of it over the last 5 years.
And so look at what we have happening in the last amount of time. We have this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Yeah.
Now we have this whole travesty of them, throwing this kid under the bus and defaming his name and turning everyone against him. This is a psychological operation.
That's the issue
and
for me. If he's guilty, okay, but
if you're going to erode people's confidence in the country, if you want people to give up on a country, to give up on the idea of America, the first thing you pull the rug out from is the justice system. Because if you don't have justice, if you don't have equal opportunity for a fair trial, if you don't have equal opportunity for justice, if you do something wrong, if you have a class of people that can fly off to a country and not face justice, or get thrown in jail and then pulled out and have a dummy put in their place, this erodes people's confidence in the very fabric that holds us together. And when we don't have that fabric anymore, we're party divided, and we can't stand together. So we can't stand for anything. So we'll just be victims to whatever
Yeah.
they want to do. It's
Yeah.
when we have something that we believe in, something that we want to stand for, something that we want to preserve. That's what makes us strong. And so the more they can erode this from us, the weaker we become. And that's, if you look at the total goal of the psychological operation, you can clearly see it. You know, they wanted to take us to an unjust war that's for foreign interests. It's not American interests. And so they needed us distracted. They needed us separated, and they needed to erode our pride and our ability to stand together for something that, you know, that all affects us all.
When
and this was
people
the
are
perfect
busy
means
fighting
to do
each
it.
other, they don't have time to look at them.
Yeah. It's, you know, our political system's already very, very polarized, right? And then, and again, like I said when I came on, you know, the immediate push to the narrative, like these were leftist furries. It just, that right there, my third eye woke up and I was like, whoa, dude, this is like, man, it just seems all like dark magic to me. All the illusion and stuff that I think we sense going on. And so
that was my first initial impression. I was like, this is black magic.
Yeah.
This is, you know, people think of magic as something, you know, mysterious, but it's not. We witness magic every day. All they have to do is plant a preconceived reaction in your brain. So it's like, as a child watching TV, you see people put in scenarios, you relate to that person, and however that person reacts in that scenario, it becomes your reaction.
That's right. Amen, brother. Amen.
They pre-program us in our reactions through movies, through TVs.
That's what I was just about to say.
And we know who's ran Hollywood from day one.
Television.
Right? We know who's run Hollywood from day one, right?
Philly. Yeah. Look, TV. What is it? Television.
Yes, exactly.
Programming, and
Amen,
you receive you know, whatever it is through channels. I mean, like, we could go into that and talk another several hours. Like, you know, none of that stuff is just by accident.
They set us up for failure. You know, they show us narratives. They show us people of narratives just breaking laws left, right. Teenagers drinking at parties, like every movie ever. Everyone's drinking in the party. And then when you do these things in real life, you face severe consequences. Do you ever see the severe consequences in the television? No. They show you a vision of a good time. You know, they show you risky behavior, they glorify it, and then they show you none of the consequences for it. So it's just pre-programming these youths.
Lets these kids think they can do whatever and
to seek action. That, you know, like the music. You know, you hear music, they talk about illegal activity. Doing drugs that are self-destructive. But these people are successful, right? And they live rich, glamorous lives.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a disconnect between the reality of these actions and the actual, you know, the narrative that's being shown in the movie or the music or the television. And we wonder why we have such a hard time with our children, you know, and we wonder why our intelligence is dropping off.
I was a victim of that. And sorry, the other day I saw a video that posited that the CIA engineered gangster rap to feed the prison in complex, right? And it was very compelling. And maybe that would have been crazy a few years ago, but I think over the last like year or two, you know, a notion like that might not be that far-fetched.
I don't think it is at all.
And they allowed China to import, you know, switches for Glocks and high capacity magazines. I guarantee if I try to order a Glock switch online, I'll have the ATF busting in my door. But, you know, every teenager in Chicago has a Glock with a switch, a fully automatic switch on it. And lo and behold, they get caught with it. What does the DA do? They just drop those charges. But, you know, you let a normal person that's just a enthusiast have one of these things that they'll you to the federal pen for it. It's just like the justice system has been perverted to a point where they put it in our face. You know what I mean? Like someone could do something that is distasteful. Right. They could say something hateful and they'll make sure they get the maximum sentence, but someone could literally rape, kill, or murder someone. And they'll let them out on probation or give them house arrest, and they tell you about it. And again, these are all psychological operations. They're trying to erode our trust in each other, erode our trust in the justice system. So we get any opportunity to have a replacement, we'll jump for it.
And they've done a damn good job. But look here, it's not. It's I think it's coming to an end. I think people are finally starting to realize that COVID was a big one for a lot of people, you know. And there's been others. Obviously, this situation here,
I've got a
the
federal
summer of
criminal.
love.
Yeah, I got a federal criminal jury trial set for August right now, and it's going to be interesting because I'm going to plan to integrate some of the Epstein stuff into my arguments, right? Because I think people are a little bit upset to know that like some other lesser people have been fully prosecuted.
Oh, yeah.
This stuff's been, and not only that, when I as a trial lawyer went back through what happened in 2007 in Palm Beach, like literally the U.S. attorney put their whole reputation and everything on the line to protect Epstein, dude. And like that is very much unheard of.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I'm going to integrate it into my closing.
I mean, it's public knowledge at this point. I think everyone should integrate it in their understanding of the world and how it works.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have to name these characters. We can't allow them to go and operate in the shadows and pull the strings and have the amount of influence they do without us naming them. We can't stop them from having the influence and the power, but we can let each other know about it. And, you know, that knowledge in itself is the thread that unwinds it all. It's the secrecy is what they need. They need people to be oblivious to it, because then they don't put the pieces together. But as soon as you start to unwind that sweater, then the emperor is laid bare, and you see he has no clothes.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love that. I love that analogy. I do.
I mean, look, though, this younger generation, the generation that's coming up, I mean, we already know based on all the polling and stuff on the support of Philly and all the, you know, just their outlook of politics and the justice system, all of that in general is so bad. You know, it's not going to last forever, and this is coming to an end one way or the other. I just hope that, you know, the whole thing doesn't have to be burned down to get fixed, you know. And that's what a lot of people need to realize, is that it can be fixed, and that it'd be nice if we could fix it, like I said, without burning it down, because this next generation probably will. I mean, you know, they're so fed up of being broke, not being able to afford anything. And then, of course, everything from Epstein to, I mean, like all of it, these younger kids are just, they ain't having it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you know, for me, the Kirk thing woke me up. I'd been out of politics for a long time, been doing civil rights law. And, but when I saw it, I said, Greg, it's time to step up, get out your hole and start a YouTube channel and help people see the dark magic that's going on around. Because, you know, and I believe in good white magic is abound in the air if we like put our frequency to it, to tap into it. But that dark magic energy is also very much abound, and so I feel a dedication to revealing it. That's how you fight it.
And if I had any more words of wisdom at all, one last thing for sure is look, you know, for years everybody believed the mainstream media. We see where that got us. No good. And everybody knows now you can't believe the mainstream media. Now everybody's, you know, migrating towards the podcasting world, but please, people, you cannot trust every single person that has a podcast any more than you can trust CNN or MSNBC. So you got to pay attention to what you're listening to. Everybody's motives are not good. So that's, you know, maybe at the beginning you could pretty well count on whoever was firing up a podcast to be pretty honest, because they were trying to break through. But trust me, those people that influence everything figured out which direction, you know, everything was moving. So I could name names, but I'm not going to. There's you got to watch out who you put your who you watch, listen to, and really put faith in.
Yeah.
You got to verify everything. Do your own research.
Yeah.
You really do.
This is for informational purposes only, you know? I say that all the time. I mean, like.
Yeah, you really do. And in the Tyler Robinson case, you know, the evidence that they've put out, the evidence in the indictment and information, there's just so much, like I think John said earlier, that raises reasonable doubt. And like we say with the bullet fragment, really does too, to the extent it was inconclusive. I'll be interested to see how that turns out. But yeah, I mean, it's just a big mess, really.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
No
we have
doubt
to be
about it.
prepared for the next psychops. They're not going to stop
Yep.
with this. It's
No.
going to be, there's going to be an attack that they're going to blame on some foreign country that had nothing to do with it because they have, monetary interest and resources or, power to be gained from going to war with these individuals. And so
think how many psyops were folded up into just this. I mean, obviously they planned on a psyop, but then how many psyops had to lead to a different psyop to a different psyop, and they kind of.
And we can hear, certain parties talk about the genius level of the pager attacks, the modified device method, they like to call it. And, they say themselves that it's in every country imaginable. So I would just.
What about Russia finding those soles in those boots? Did you see that?
Yeah,
All those troops?
absolutely. And I guarantee you there's every key
And Trump's got a golden pager in a case sitting
consumer
there at the White House.
electronics and industrial electronics in key areas, they're all loaded. I can just guarantee you that the Hezbollah pager attack was 10 years into working.
They couldn't pinpoint that close. You know what I mean? Like there's no telling how many got out there, but to get the right ones into the
Hezbollah ran
right
these
hands.
pagers through airport scanners. They ran bomb dogs over them. They had experts looked at them, and they used them for 10 years unaware. And they hacked the cell phone system to send a signal to these pagers to have them explode, sending a encrypted signal on it. Like the level of complexity that was involved in that is far beyond what would be necessary to attack our key infrastructure.
Did you hear that interview of that Mossad officer? And they were talking to him about that in particular, that exact thing. And he said the whole world is a stage.
Yep.
Yeah. But look, okay, there's 15 Hezbollah fighters that we want to get with a pager. They didn't go make 1,500 of them and send them to those 1,500 individuals. Like, there's no telling, just accidentally, just to get them out there to the ones they intended them to go to. There's no telling how many, are out there.
Yeah.
Besides,
and everyone orders things through, like there's the so many parties in between you and your consumer goods.
Yeah.
That at any point, whole lots could be, modified. You can only assume that every electronic device in the hands of a key, influential person, be it a politician or engineer or what have you, anybody that's important is at least has a listening device on it, if not has a modified device that could be used to, do harm. So, when the time comes, when the desperation reaches that point, we can only expect that every PLC controlling your water treatment plant, your power center, they're all going to go haywire. We're going to lose everything. It's not going to be through some EMP. They're not going to drop some bomb to shut us into the dark ages.
Right.
They're going to use the very devices that we use to control our infrastructure against us. Yep. We've seen it done with the enrichment plants. They put viruses into the PLC and make the enrichment centrifuge just turn backwards and destroy them, or they just have everything cut off. Like, look at Cuba right now. Cuba has no power. Like, you think that's just like someone went and flipped a switch to do that?
Right.
No, they have it built into, some custom firmware and some device that that's used to control it.
Everything.
And they strike a key and they can cut everything off on you. And that's what they'll do. And when the desperation reaches that point, they'll bring us to bended knee by taking the very things that we use to sustain our lives, our water and our electricity. We'll be begging.
It's a good idea to be able to,
exactly,
do for yourself as much as possible.
Get you a water well, get you a holding tank, get you some solar panels, because it's not going to be days that you're going to do without it. They're going to let you go weeks. They'll let people starve. They'll let people get desperate, and they'll let you reach the point of desperation where you'll accept any terms to get your electricity and your water.
That's what they do. That's what they've openly talked about. Regime change. I mean, like the whole Iran, and of course that's what they did in Ukraine. And that is the whole way that works. Yep. I mean, you have to take down certain elements of the government, but then for that to work, you have to get the people to a point where they're like you said, they'll accept any terms, whatever. And the way they do that is to, put them in a position where they're desperate and,
Yeah, and
Make
it doesn't.
make
It
it
doesn't
stop.
take a special forces team, and it doesn't take a radar-proof aircraft dropping a bomb. They just strike a
Right.
key, and they they enact a plan that's been in place for a long time, and they bring us to our knees. And we could expect it. I don't think it's a case of if; it's a case of when. So.
Yeah.
Now that we scared the shit out of everybody in the chat.
Yeah, dude. Hey, and you know what's funny, y'all, is
Oh,
Barron, he expresses all the
you got to
time.
be prepared.
Barron expresses all the time that like, and I'm the same way, dude. I've thought every which way that this Kirk thing went down, who was involved and like the implications of that. And man, if it's like I think we're all thinking, the potential fallout and implications from everyone who was involved and stuff, it's a little intense sometimes to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
But
I mean?
on the same token, we have more technology available to us to be self-sufficient than we ever have.
I think
yeah.
you're right too. And there's more know-how, like you're saying, John, about like organic living, doing your own garden, stuff like that, And I just encourage people to soak all that up. And
Look,
do
right now is the easiest time to learn that. I mean, literally, you go to the internet, you can learn anything in a few minutes.
I watched a video earlier, and that they
you don't
were
have to live it.
Yeah, I was watching a video earlier. They were like 1/8 acre worth of vegetables to feed a family of 6. It was like an hour and a half video, and it was good. It was good.
And they're talking about the fertilizer shortage. Get some chickens, get some pigs.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
get a cow.
Good fertilizer.
They make all the fertilizer you can use.
Yep. You don't need nothing else.
You can feed them a variety of different crops. Find the crops that are grown local to you. Get to know your farmers. Go to your farmers market. Go to your local ag center. Like, start to learn these key skills. Even if you don't use them yourself, be familiar with them and just get involved in those circles.
That's a big thing.
That where I live in Oklahoma, like, people would be shocked to see how people live out here. They would be They would be absolutely shocked to see some of the houses that they live in. But we're perfectly fine. We're happy.
Yeah.
These people live freer than most people in the rest of the country. But if they just looked at it on the surface, they would think we're living in third world conditions. But at the end of the day, we're just happy to be self-sufficient and live a little more simply than most other people. And
that's when you say, hey, if they flip the switch on everybody, we're y'all gonna feel it a whole lot more than I am.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen.
But I mean, that is a really big thing, though, is like, if you don't know your neighbors, it'd be nice to maybe you could go out and meet your neighbors. And in a situation like that, you just don't even realize how important it is to have a good relationship with your neighbors. Two ways, for two reasons. For one, if you need something, maybe your neighbor can help you if y'all are on good terms. And besides that, if everybody's starving and having a hard time, you don't want your neighbor coming and holding you up at gunpoint for what you got. So,
that's right.
It's good to have good relationships with your neighbors, and if you want to go so far as to have a contingency plan like that, well, I'll help you out with this if you help me out with that. I mean, like that right there go a long way.
Yeah. They want, that's why I was going to say this in my morning show tomorrow. It's like, your neighbor is not your enemy, even though they want you to believe that your neighbor is really not your enemy. And I think you're right. Being proactive about getting to know your neighbor and just having a real conversation about the condition of the world might not be very hurtful for you.
Yeah. And go ahead and open those avenues of sharing.
Like, absolutely. Sharing and caring.
You can do that anyway.
It's so easy.
Eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Produce a little more than what you need, and share them freely with the people that you see in need. Like,
oh, you got a milk cow? Man, I got chickens. I got more eggs than I can eat. Here, you know what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Save me a trip to the dollar store for a gallon of milk. I mean,
it's not hard for us to survive when we work together, but it's very difficult for us to approach that scenario when we're a man on an island.
That's right. Absolutely. I agree.
If all that happens, I definitely won't starve to death. Last year, my 15-year-old went upstairs to the window in the center in the back, and I stood there and spotted for him, and he shot a 7-point buck.
Oh, nice!
I told us to take the kids to the bedroom. It's going to get loud.
Oh.
It was just 243, but that's pretty. He let that 243 rip in the house, and woo! Oh man, good times. You can't do that just anywhere.
No.
Yeah, and eating off the land, there's nothing better than that.
Nope. Absolutely.
You'll start to have an appreciation for everything around you deeper than what people can understand. So
A lot of people think that the food just comes from the grocery store and that's it.
Yeah, dude. I'm in the mountains in North Carolina now, man, and it's just like, dude, God, I hope there is no fallout, but like I do feel like I'm in a pretty good place, if something were to happen. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Well, I know, John. I know you bound to be ready to take it easy for a bit. You did most of the talking.
Yeah. Thank you, John. I'm hitting hour 20 right now myself in work, but like, God bless you, John, for sharing space with Adam and I. God bless you, Adam, for everything you do, brother. Thank you very much, man. I feel this is a very productive and a very enjoyable conversation for our group here. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you. I've looked forward to this for a very long time, and I know anybody that listens to me and knew this was coming was looking forward to it. So, you made a lot of people's day. So
thank you, John. I appreciate it.
And we'll definitely have to do this again.
Yep. Yeah.
I got more stuff coming down the pike, so you just keep in touch with me.
Nice.
Cool.
Absolutely.
I'm just,
I'm
pushing pushing the envelope. I'm not going
to do it.
That's right. Well, and it's like I said, like I was telling you earlier before we got on here, I know somebody else that's looking at similar, but different theories and everything. And so, hey, sometimes it's nice to get two people together that have a little bit different outlook, and compare notes.
Absolutely. It's about perspective. I'm not trying to own anything. I'm just trying to arrive at
as long as it's in good faith, those conversations are great.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, hey, go ahead and plug your stuff. Where's everybody? Where's everybody go to see you?
You keep me working, keep my family fed. Blue Mountain Farm, OK.com. It's our self-care. We make good, clean self-care products. You can't trust these corporations anymore. They're poisoning you with things you can't pronounce. They're not looking out for your interests. We make things for our family, and we make enough to share with everyone else. So we'll be.
God bless you. God bless you, man. I love it. I'm going to email you, John.
I got to check out y'all's stuff. Some of y'all's stuff. On one of these days, I'm going to get on there and check it out. I
have a website, followtheepicenter.com. That's where I put all my forensic data. It's there just as a kind of a backup plan for if Tyler Robinson's defense completely fails him. We can show that, this information was readily available. It wasn't, some mysteriously unknown, variables. This was something well documented, shared freely with everyone. So you can find all my forensic packages, all my source data. I have my Python code that I use to come up with this information. You can download it. You can run it yourself. I try to make it as open source as possible. It's not about
paywalls or memberships to see it.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't dare. It's about getting this in as many hands as possible and having people come up with their own conclusions. I don't want to tell you what happened. I want you to take the data that I have and use the tools that I've created and come to your own conclusion. And if enough of us do that, then it would be very difficult for it just to be ignored when multiple parties can run the same data and come to the same conclusion. That's the level of doubt that can possibly save someone's life.
Yeah. And again, I'll say it again. I have absolutely no particular feelings for Tyler Robinson. If he did it, by God, let him have what's coming. But at the end of the day, I think that these other possibilities.
There's enough inconsistencies that we can say there's reasonable doubt.
Yes, exactly.
And if we're going to believe in our justice system, we have to allow someone that reasonable doubt to not face the consequences that he's facing, which is the most drastic consequences you could face, right? He has the weight of the state upon him, and more than likely he's just a naive kid that was tricked into being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. They keep trying to, especially the Turning Point crowd. I could name off names, not going to do that, but like they try to put this guilt trip on you, like, oh my God, they
want you to hate Tyler. I will wash Tyler's feet.
You're going to let Charlie's killer get off. Well, but what if he's not the killer? So just because he gets either put away or, put under. You know what I mean? Like, just because he's put away gives Charlie no justice if he's not the actual one that.
Somebody else was falsely
responsible.
accused. His name was Jesus Christ, and they put him to death for it too.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen.
There you go.
Amen.
But you know, that's no justice at all. You know, they want to act like, you know, regardless of what happened, who was actually, you know, responsible and how many other parties were involved, just Tyler Robinson will take care of everything. That gives Charlie justice. No, that's not the case.
No.
If there are other people involved, and if he's not responsible, then guess what? Put him away. Charlie has gotten zero justice.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And you got an X too. So
yeah, Jon Aaron Bray on X, Jon Aaron Bray on Instagram. I try to like hit all the buttons. I face resistance everywhere. My YouTube is just get hammered, so it's not even worthwhile mentioning that.
Y'all get on there and follow him everywhere you can, though. Get on there.
Yeah,
and,
for real.
Definitely order something from him, and then get on his socials and give him a follow and keep up with him, because he's always putting out some good stuff.
Yeah.
Greg, go ahead and plug yours. I know a lot of people know you, but there's some people in the chat that ain't.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel, I got two. My primary Tyler Robinson is the Entheogenic Esquire, and then kind of my more personal one is Entheo SK. But everybody here, probably Entheogenic Esquire is going to be the best bet for you. So God bless y'all.
Absolutely. Yeah, y'all can find me on X. You know what? And I only had 2 or 3 days to do it, so you know, there's a good reason why it's not there yet. But anyway, John, if you'll send me your links, I will pop them down in the description, so everybody
I'll do the same, Adam, when you
get
them, send them to me, and I'll put them on my video too, on my 2 channels.
Yeah, so
I appreciate
we'll
it.
We'll get those links there. Yeah, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of people going back after the fact, and so yeah, we'll get them in there so they can find you. And hey, if y'all ain't hit that like button, I mean, come on now. I'm gonna pull a Jesse on fire. Look, it ain't
we put
free.
some work
it just
in.
don't cost any money. Yeah, it ain't free. It just don't cost money. Like, hit that like button. Subscribe if you hadn't, because I got a feeling he'll be back with us soon, and we're gonna get some others in here. And yeah, and also I have there's a post up with my PayPal in it. I'm not monetized yet. Trying really, really hard. Anybody feels led to help contribute to the cause, you can do it there at my PayPal. So anyway, we're gonna get off here. We have had a real good time, John. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it, man. Again, I'm very grateful to share space with y'all this evening. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. God bless y'all.
Yeah, God bless you.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Send me those links so I can get them up for everybody.
Will do.
All right, brother. See y'all. Peace.